and technology. And we're going to make sure that YouTube knows that this is a stream where I want people to participate in the chat. And at this point, I'm just, okay, good, we're streaming on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. And I believe I might even be able to say I'm streaming on Rumble right now. Let's see if we can verify that. I cannot verify that. But anyway, I want to thank you people, one and all, for tuning in. And yes, I can confirm we are now live on Rumble. And so yesterday, I kind of like didn't do an excellent job making sure I was watching the Rumble chat, but at some point, I began, observing the Rumble chat, and it was great because we made a new friend, made a new subscriber on the so-called alternative platform, although some people like to refer to alternative platforms as new platforms, right? Like new tech instead of alt tech. But I mean, I'm not too picky. I'm just saying it's kind of interesting. But yeah, I got the chat windows side by side. And what I like to do is open up my own YouTube video and then open a pop-out window for the chat so that I can more easily have a pop-out chat, because I like to have the chat in the window and in pop-out mode. And it's a lot of detail I should probably hammer out before going live, which I don't really know how to do that yet. Like, I don't know how to like adjust certain things without going live. And then just now, like, I had the stream set up. I guess something got refreshed and I lost it. I had to like refresh it again, basically. So no big deal, but that was a consideration. But now I think we're in good shape. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna. That's weird. Okay, well that. Wow, redundancy is up the wazoo right now. Let me tell you. But we're good. I think we're looking good now. We got it. We got it. Yeah. All right, good. And so now we got the chat window. We got what the fudge? Wait. That's a pain in the butt. I wasn't. Okay, that was a glitch. It looked like I wasn't on. It looked like I wasn't on Rumble, and then I'm still here. I'm hearing myself talk right now on Rumble, but there is a little latency. Testing 1 2. Let's see if I hear myself say, okay, yeah, the Rumble stream is kaput. It says 2 people are watching, but I might be the one of those people. We're going to refresh the Rumble stream. I really like to get both running, and this is why, in fact, I didn't even know why I didn't start going on Twitch yet, and this is why. Yeah, okay, we got progress here. Okay, we're looking good now. Hey, Spark, what's up, man? Wow, that was quick. Good to see you, man. That was super quick that you popped on. I guess you got a notification or something. I guess you actually watch the notifications on Rumble or something, That's cool. But yeah, like it literally said the stream was not running. Like I'd have this like little, thing was off and I'm like, uh-oh. So I turned it back on and I refreshed it and whatever, it's working now. So anyway, let's get on with the show. Yeah, I gotta get a better like workflow going. Oh, that's weird. I gotta get a better workflow going because as it is right now, like I spent a lot of time like tinkering around with it before it's like working the way I want it to work. But here we go. We got this right now, and I just want to check my. Okay, good. All right, perfect. Okay, good. I just want to make sure if that worked. I appreciate that. I gotta pick me up some Assetto Corsa. Like, I think that was one of those games I held off on buying, but it looks fun. Oh, we're out of focus here, right? Let's get that fixed because we're wasting precious night time. On blurry imagery. Why is the Google box talking to me? My Google Assistant box was just saying, try again in a couple of seconds. Biatch, I wasn't talking to it. All right. Well, anyway. So we got a stretched histogram. And we see these two little blurry stars on a 1.7-second exposure. What I'd like to do is scroll sideways, and then I gotta hit the motorized focuser. We're gonna go in, I'll try going in 25 steps. And it looks like we're actually out of focus now. So I actually probably did that by accident myself. So that's okay. We rack it out 200 steps. It goes way out of focus, then it starts to come back in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say go in 20 steps. We're Bob Rossing this right now. Oh, I got to rotate my microphone just a little bit. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm probably getting OCD on that. Yeah, I think that star's out of focus because there's a bright star here, but I think I can see some faint edges. I could probably try to coerce this into, yeah, there we go. All right, so we got to get, we were looking at, we actually had a pretty good shot of that nebula from yesterday. And what we're doing is we're tightening up the focus because I must have overshot the mark at some point. I was probably trying to correct for temperature. And I probably overdid it. So at this point, I could probably go 5 more steps in. Let's pray I don't mess it up. It looks better. Yeah, so I'm afraid to go in any more steps, but, you know, it may or may not benefit from that. Now, my only caveat, my only issue is that, like, if I say I take a 9-second exposure here, or like a 5-second exposure, this bar down here tells us that this is like, you know, 5 seconds. And then at the end, a picture is supposed to come up. But in reality, we got to wait 5 extra seconds for the first frame. So the first image takes double the amount of time. And then everything after that will update every 5 seconds. And we can see that, like, cluster. We can see the inchworm cluster barely. But what I want to do is find out if I go to still imaging mode. And yeah, I need to strip down the mount. I need to re-grease the bearings. It's not actually as precise as it should be, but it's still super convenient to be able to, you know, remotely operate it. And the reason that I can get away with that, yeah, so that actually looks like it's working. So I may take a gamble here and operate in still imaging mode, even though I don't trust it. Because it is updating the image. I mean, it's updating it in a timely manner. So we're going to take a gamble. And worst case scenario, we waste an extra 5 minutes on the image gathering there. And I want to say hi to viewer. Oh, shoot. That's so cool. Oh, man. So actually, I got someone in the YouTube chat right now who watched my most watched YouTube video. I kid you not. We're going to get that chat up on screen right now, but I'm very glad that you dropped by. And oh, wrong button. Yeah, I gotta actually move this to my other screen, I guess. And then I gotta turn this other thing. Yeah, I'm still kind of, you know, I'm still kind of getting a knack for this, but yeah, there we go. Takes a little trickery there, but you know, we're working on it. So I'm really glad that you dropped by. I hope you're still in the chat right now, but yeah, I think you're still there. So I'm glad you dropped by there, viewer, because that video, like, I put that out on a whim, and it's just like something that got the most views out of all of my videos. And you know, I love Neon Genesis Evangelion, and I'm super amused by the comments I get on that video. Every, like, once in a while a new comment pops up on there, and it's a lot of fun. So I want to thank you and anybody else who's, you know, commented on that video. Now, we gotta wait like about 5 minutes for the next picture to come up because we're doing long exposure photography, but I'm gonna try to wrangle something for us right now. I'm gonna try to do a little short-term image processing. Try to get us some raw data in here. This could be very tricky. It's like balancing on a knife edge, as you can see. Yeah, that one probably won't work. Maybe I need to go and pull up a different image. But yeah, you go to the comments on that video, and there's a lot of really really creative and funny comments. And some of them are like from Russia and shit, like different parts of the world, which is cool. But yeah, thank you for dropping in. And, I hope my other content is enjoyable. If that Evangelion video, End of Ava video, is bringing people in, that's, a good start. But of course, I have other content. It's sort of like Sir Alec Guinness from Star Wars, right? He got a little annoyed at people. I don't get annoyed. I'm not like Alec Guinness, but he got annoyed when kids would show up at conventions and be like, like bugging him about being Obi-Wan. He was like, dude, that was a freaking wizard from a fantasy movie. Look for a real role model, he says. So in this image, we got like some nebulosity, which basically we have like a nebula or like a dust cloud in space. And you can see like that dark texture there. I'm having a hard time kind of like getting it balancing out, but you can see like that we did manage to get this from a time exposure. And in about 3 minutes, we should hopefully have about 1 minute and 40 seconds. We should have something new. Now, if we jump over to the other software, what we essentially did was we pointed it at the inchworm cluster, which is actually this string of stars right here. And since there is a nebula and a super bright star in that frame, we do end up seeing that. We see Saturn, which right now Saturn is right over here. Now, I switched the operating mode of the camera, which is a bit of a risk for me. But I'm hoping that it saves me time because it usually takes me twice as long for the first picture to pop up. But the problem with this alternative operating mode is I get this extra border on the end. I don't think it's a really big deal. It might have a slight adverse effect on the image processing afterwards, but I think I could probably crop the border. It does worry me like a little bit. It's a bit of a minor nuisance, but not a big deal. I think the software can cope with it. Now, what I usually do is I start with a shorter exposure. I take a picture of the area that I think I'm aiming at. So I tell the telescope, aim at the target. So you get this little crosshair. And then I take a picture and I open it in this program. This program will look at the constellations and figure out the constellations in that image. Figure out the coordinates of that, image. And then it will allow me to issue an update to make sure these numbers are accurate. Because a lot of times the mechanisms are not precise and the program here, which aims the telescope, will not be, quite accurate. And so this will kind of like tell it, this is where you're really pointing at. And then this crosshair will usually shift a little bit. And that will give me an opportunity to recenter the image. And so right now, we've already done those steps. And after getting like an initial shot and seeing that it's working right, or while getting the first shot, we had to also tell the secondary telescope. We have like a little scope that's piggybacked on the main scope. In fact, I should probably open the outdoor camera to show that. And that secondary scope is essentially, responsible for just using its own little camera. It's a smaller camera with a small 1080p image sensor as opposed to the 4K sensor. In fact, the 4K sensor can run in an 8K mode, but I don't run it in 8K because smaller pixels collect fewer photons. And I'm desperate for photons, so I'm happy to settle for 4K, and also realistically you get the law of diminishing returns. But anyway, bottom line is this program will see that the star is moving left, moving right, moving east, moving west, and if it's moving in the wrong direction, if the telescope is not canceling out the Earth's rotation properly, if it's moving too slowly or it's slipping behind, this will issue corrective pulses. It'll push it north or push it east, and basically its job is to like look at this, calculate where the center of this is, and then you can see this little cross section. This spike is actually a cross section for the brightness of the star. And so you can see as it gets dimmer at the edge of that star, it falls off, and that's what this point represents. And so as that centroid, because it's actually mathematically figuring out the centroid, it's sending corrective pulses to the mount and telling it, hey, keep it centered, you know, more or less. And if I didn't do that, the stars in the long exposure image, which hopefully we got one to show. Okay, so I confirmed that the experimental camera mode did not work. Oh, wait, did it work? No, that did not work. Okay, so I'm going to have to, like, remember to post a query to the astronomy forum and ask the fellas there, what is it I need to do, or what is it that's going on with that? Because I wasted, like, 10 minutes of time on that, basically, or 5 minutes plus the 10 minutes it's going to take to see the next image. Now it'll get a good image, or now it'll get a decent image. And so we'll get something that looks something like this in black and white. We're using a hydrogen alpha filter, which blocks out light pollution, blocks out the vast majority of light pollution, so that we're basically tuned into a very specific wavelength of light, which is basically ionized hydrogen or electrically charged hydrogen. Similar to what basically our sun has. Yeah, our sun has ionized hydrogen, you know. Oh, holy shit, the chat blew up. Okay, gentlemen, I want to apologize for missing out on the chat. Wait, is this yesterday's chat? Yes, this is yesterday's chat. Okay, I'm looking at yesterday's chat right now. Give me 1 second to make sure. Am I looking at the right chat? Am I looking at the correct chat right now? Let me see here. Yeah, this is yesterday. Okay, I gotta close yesterday's chat real quick. Had a little glitch just now with the yeah, we had a little glitch just now, so let me just clean this up a little bit because it's a minor glitch, but it's an inconvenient one. So I just want to, okay, there we go. Now we got it back. Yeah, there we go. All right, good, good, good. Whoops, no, we do not want to do that right now. Okay, pardon me. I had to clean up I have a bunch of windows in my other monitor. So anyway, that is going to take a hot minute. So anyways, I was saying, yeah, so we're looking at this area right now, but I'd really like to look down here at the Eastern Veil Nebula, and right now that's at 50 degrees, so it's starting to rise above the point where, you know, hopefully we get less atmosphere blocking the image and we can get a better image. I'm looking forward to imaging this because I'm hoping that it will be brighter, the nebula will be more detailed, it'll be in the center of the frame, which is good because that will help to reduce effort on my part when I'm doing the image processing routine. And we won't have to make many changes or adjustments to, you know, get this one to go. And basically, we want to, you know, at some point, we don't want to be like too close to the meridian. Even though the meridian is the best place to image. So I should probably update the limits of my telescope so that I can, you know, after I go past the meridian, which is like right overhead, it can keep going a little bit more because this is like the best area in the sky to image things. The limiting factor is the concern that the telescope is going to bump into the tripod, basically, for lack of a better term. And so if we go here, we can actually see the backyard camera, which should probably change the lighting mode on that. I really got to finish setting that up so that I can, you know, automate certain functionality on the camera. But for now, it's just going to manually tell it to go into nighttime mode. There we go. Now we got the infrared light. And we might have a spider visiting us tonight because we had a friendly spider yesterday. I did a little bit of lawn management. I couldn't, you know, I have an Ethernet cable or a network cable in the grass that I have to bury with an entrenching tool. And so I did a little like hand whacking of the grass just to kind of like tidy up a bit. But right now, the back of the camera is being blocked by this weed over here. There's like a bunch of weeds in the yard. But this plant, yeah, I'll call it a plant. But this plant is blocking the camera. But basically, when this thing goes to like a 90-degree angle, or past a 90-degree angle, it starts to get really uncomfortably close to the tripod. And You don't want to bump the camera into the tripod. You could break a USB port. You could, ruin a connection. You could just basically mess with the motors a bit, push the motors harder than they like to be pushed. And most importantly, it creates alignment issues. And that's really the thing that I care about is alignment issues. Other than that, it's not like the most important thing. But what we're gonna do is we got the image nice and big, and we're gonna switch back to the remote access program. Hopefully, yeah, there we go. And I'm gonna resize and crop this so that we can actually see what it's doing there. I gotta say, I've been having weird issues with the YouTube chat today, by the way. Like, sometimes it doesn't want to load. Sometimes it's literally missing information. Sometimes, like, I'll leave a message. Okay, there we go. YouTube chat is fixed. But yeah, before I was getting some weirdness. So, real quick, allow me to just resize and crop the camera. I want to have this available so that we can, monitor the telescope throughout the evening. Should we zoom in? I think we should. Whoops, wrong button. I'm sorry. So, ooh, that's a, oh yeah, of course. Well, that's what it's gonna look like. So we're gonna just. There we go. That should do nicely. Whoops. That stinks. It doesn't let me minimize it in full screen mode, so I'm gonna do that. I was hoping to get like optimal resolution, but that's okay. It's not like critical. So we're just gonna crop it a little bit here, crop it a little bit there. And we could even crop it horizontally, even though that will be less fun. Crop it like that. So yeah, we may not get to see the spider at the moment, but I can check on it periodically. Not that I can tell right now. Yeah, so if we'll pop into the camera real quick and take a look. So as it stands right now, I do not see our friend. And yeah, I want to say I once befriended a spider. I mean, I know the spider doesn't have that much personality to it. But what happened was I was helping a friend with his garden, and a jumping spider came by. And this is like a black furry spider. Like it's got black fur. It's got very distinct palps, which are like the things at the front of the mouth. If you look up jumping spider, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And they move a lot. Like it almost looks like a set of extra arms or appendages. They're not exactly like, the same. I guess they're more like mouth parts, so to speak. But as it turns out, jumping spiders are among the more curious when it comes to spiders. Like they are more curious than other spider species. Like they will not run away from humans. They will approach a human and, basically because they're curious. Maybe this is like a survival trait or something like that. But yeah, there we go. We got that. So, generally speaking, like you could keep them as pets apparently, and they'll walk on your finger and they won't bite you and they're not nasty. I mean, like, I'm not disgusted by jumping spiders, but I am, a little bit, disgusted by insects. But, I mean, like, I've handled bugs before. The thing I'm afraid of with jumping spiders is like if I had a pet jumping spider, I'd be afraid to crush the fellow, just be afraid to like make a mistake, step on them by accident, or bump into them and crush them in my hand and get spider guts on me. That's like really like what gets me. Like I'm irrationally afraid of butterflies because like if I accidentally step on a butterfly, I got it. you know, have caterpillar gut on me, and that's awful. Plus, it's just sad. Yeah, so about 20 seconds, we will have the first image update. And so I'm zooming in now, and I'm going to zoom out so we can see it. I'm going to, you know, keep it zoomed in, and I'm going to zoom out. I have this Star Trek game here. Had it since I was a kid. And it's like one of those Tiger Electronics games. And apparently the screws, oh wow, most of the screws are already missing from this device. So we're going to crack it open and try to clean it, because it needs some cleaning between the battery acid corrosion and other factors. All right, so let me just put the Enterprise away. All right, so we may have some. Okay, yeah, there we go. We got something there. So I'm gonna expand the crosshair a bit, make it into like a 45-degree angle like the X-Men. And so in the bottom quadrant, we can see, trying to get this thing to go. Okay, I'm trying to get that thing to expand. Yeah, there we go. So you can see in the corner here, you got some dark areas and light areas. And so if we stack these, we should get better contrast, better dynamic range, and all of that. And let's verify. Good. We still got the temperature set, because that sometimes gets like unset, and that pisses me off when that happens. You know, like, it's just supremely annoying. I gotta like, I took a picture of the inside of my computer today, and I gotta compile video footage and whatnot, because at some point I want to make a video about my computer, and at some point I want to take submissions, and I want to roast people's computers. I literally want to roast people's desktop computer configurations or whatever they have, even if they have a laptop. And I mean in a friendly way. Like, I don't actually, like, it's not to be an elitist or anything like that. It'll be like a comedic elitism, but I just want to be like, you know, like just like trolling on friends, you know. Like, what is up with this guy's computer? Oh, he's just got a laptop. Oh, this guy's got a big tower of the glow-in-the-dark bullshit. You know, make fun of it a little bit. But no, you know, I also give some serious critiques, like mostly favorable ones. All right, I got some amiibo testing to do here in a moment. Yeah, so last night, I don't remember sleeping. Oh yeah, I went to get a screwdriver and I grabbed a Nintendo controller. Yeah, so yesterday, like, I think I slept, but like I slept in weird like on and off phases, because I don't really remember like sleeping continuously for a meaningful length of time. But yeah, it's like one of those Tiger Electronics games where like it plays the music like really loud and it beeping sounds, like it's just like literally plays the Star Trek song in beeps. In decently in timed beeping sounds. And it looks like I tried to open it years ago when I was a kid, when I had less strength, and nearly stripped it. this time we're gonna get it because I can feel grip on the screwdriver. And then we're gonna clean it because see, this was my brother's. See, we bought two when I was a kid. I got the Ninja Turtles one. My brother got the Star Trek one. But then he left mine at someone's house and it got jacked or whatever. You know how it goes. And so I didn't have mine, but he had this one. So I played it. He let me play it. Whatever, no problem. You know, I obviously have it now. But at some point he tried to clean the screen using soapy water. And kind of like, you know, just like left residue on the screen basically. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to like clean that residue off using isopropyl alcohol. I don't know if 99% is a bit too aggressive. I could water down the paper towel a little bit to be safe. But what we got here is, you know, a Star Trek Konami, actually. It's not Tiger Electronics, but it's the same concept. And what we're going to do... Oh, yeah, no, it's no worries, man. I was 5 years old. So, you know, and like I said, I still got the Star Trek game. But the soap's been on there for years, and years ago I would have been, like, uncomfortable or incapable of doing the, you know, job on it, even though it's just, like, a very simple electronic device. I mean, we can see one circuit board, a few screws, but you know, my youth attention span probably would have like just not managed it. Now what's interesting is I see this capacitor here, and it's either a voltage regulation capacitor or it might be, don't quote me on this, might be serving like a battery if this device stores a high score. It's similar to the original Xbox, which instead of having a clock battery, it had a capacitor. And so normally a capacitor is designed like to operate at like a lower voltage, like on a camera flash. It'll draw, let's say, 3 volts of electricity. But then when you press the button, after it takes like, let's say, 5 seconds for a capacitor to charge 3 volts of electricity. Then when you press the button, it releases like 100,000 volts of electricity in like a millisecond. And that's how camera flashes work. Now, the thing is, okay, this is interesting. I'm gonna have to be very gentle here now because things were weird back in the day when it came to these types of display panels. Like, I'm already like about to put this thing back together and like pretend I never took it apart because I'm definitely afraid of how this works. So, this is like so bizarre, and this is like actually, I bought this as a used Game Boy Pocket, and ultimately the screen was bad and there was no way to salvage it because somebody attempted to do the backlight mod on it, and the backlight mod involves like taking the layers of the display panel apart, and it's very like, it's a high risk procedure. So to fix this, I have to buy the IPS display for it, which eats batteries like no tomorrow. But then I'll have like, you know, an otherwise original Game Boy. So now this one here is so weird. Like, it's got this plastic jig here, which seems to keep things on a straight and narrow. So if I put it back on top, it doesn't really seem to have the ability to go anywhere. So that's kind of good, but it's also very easy to misalign it. Like, I mean, like, there's some hints. I see these contacts here that sort of give me a hint where if this is supposed to go. But this is very weird. Yo, what up, Indy? On YouTube, we got Indy right now in the chat. Indiana Jones. And so what I'm working on right now, this is my Star Trek, the motion picture video game here. And I'm afraid to flip it over right now because I'm like, there you go. You can see that. Right, there you go, Indiana Jones. So basically, yeah, I'm doing a little astrometrics. Unfortunately, I don't have 7 of 9 with me right now. And while we do some astrometrics, I am also checking out this thing to see if I can repair it. And I was saying this is a lot like, oh wow, this is very bizarre. there's like nothing connecting the screen. No cable is connecting the screen on this whatsoever. I literally just lifted the screen from the bezel and I'm holding the screen right now. And I'm definitely afraid to like accidentally take the screen apart. So this is way more primitive than I expected it to be. See, when I first opened this, I was expecting it to be like a Game Boy where you would have a plastic thing in front of the actual LCD and then you'd have the LCD. But this here is like, no, the LCD is directly facing the real world. Like this shit was like, this thing was facing the real world. And so the soap that's underneath the screen may not even be possible to get at it without screwing it up. But I'm going to take a close look at it and see if we have options in this realm here, because it is a thing I always wanted to, I mean, not always wanted to fix, but this is a very, I think, okay, so this is a plastic screen protector on top of the LCD. So it's held on using some kind of adhesive. And so it may be possible to get at it, but you know, it may not be worth it. Now, way I see it, if the soap could get in there, isopropyl alcohol can get in there too. Now, I tell you, this is not the smartest thing I'm doing today, but we're gonna try to just gently maybe put a single drop in and see what happens. So we're gonna just put one and we're gonna like actually hold it sideways so it can run off. Now, what makes isopropyl alcohol cool is that it does evaporate, or it should evaporate eventually. But I think what happened was my brother tried to clean it as a kid, and literally the soapy water got in, or the regular water got into the side here and penetrated these layers of glass. And so now the way this works is this part here, this ribbon, this rubbery thing that has conductive bits on the end, makes contact with the tinned pads on the circuit board. These shiny things here. And so, you know, lining it up will be necessary. And so, if I was smart, I would end this part of the adventure right now, and I would focus on... Okay, well, that's interesting. So, actually, now, remember, there's a picture of space right behind here, right? You got the transporter room. So, we can actually peel the paper back, because it is basically paper, and it looks like the paper is not part of the circuitry. So I think we could relatively safely put this aside for a moment, and you can see like that looks pretty cool. You know, it's almost like a chromium print or something, or like a piece of paper. It felt like there was a little dust on it, but it wasn't really dusty. I got to be real careful not to put like any actual fingerprints on it. And because this is actually paper, okay, so we got that cleaned off a little bit. And in the meantime, let's take a look at that Astrometrics lab again. Yeah, so we're still doing that. We got 3 pictures, same target as yesterday when I ended my stream. And I do have to at some point revisit the East Vale Nebula, because that I think is going to be way cooler anyway. Well, I don't know if it's going to be way cooler, but like, I don't know. I just feel like this is going to be a good target. But we're already trained on the target. We're imaging it right now. It seems to be more or less in decent focus. You know, all things considered, it could be better, could be worse. I might start cranking up the heaters on the cooling on the power box. I'm not crazy about doing this. I think this is why things got out of focus yesterday, but I want to, basically just gradually manage humidity or condensation in this case. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the back of this and see. So unfortunately, the residue that messed it up is not on the back. It's definitely sandwiched in between. So now, as I understand it, with this type of liquid crystal, the two layers on the back end are probably where all of the magic happens. So it's a circuit. This pad, which I got to be careful not to accidentally rip off, is what sends the signal to issue commands to the liquid crystal. This front plate looks more like a screen protector bit, but I'm not really sure. But this seems to be the bit where, like, if we can get, like, something to penetrate it, we might be able to, like, finagle something. So I'm going to just kind of carefully try to finagle it. Okay, so the alcohol is definitely penetrating it. I actually think when my brother cleaned it as a kid, he accidentally maybe delaminated some of the adhesives that keep this bit on. I think that's what happened here. Before I go and take any risks, let's see if they have this on eBay. Because, I've, it's always nice to find something on eBay when you make it worse. So we're going to check right now. We're going to go on eBay. And we're going to see if, Konami Star Trek. By the way, Legend of the Galactic Heroes is a great Japanese anime series. Nerdport Lifeform mentioned it today too during a stream, because he was on a stream and he mentioned how he introduced me to the show, and I'm like, super grateful and ecstatic. And it's true. He actually mentioned it twice this week, because I've messaged him numerous times. I was like, yo, bro, thanks for introducing me to this great show. Don't judge it by the guy with the long hair. This is box set 4 out of 4. So, man was in an arduous journey, okay? But I want to buy this version because there's really no affordable way to buy the series on Blu-ray except to buy the Japanese version. But I don't think the Japanese version has subtitles, so I need to find out if if I can apply my own subtitles to it. Basically, it may be possible. Not my own subtitles per se, but something I download. So I gotta investigate that. But for now, we're gonna go and look for the Konami Star Trek game. So there are some Konami Star Trek games. Yeah! Right, we're buying this shit right now. We're buying this so that I can break this one. I'm gonna just switch to my main camera so that, I don't accidentally, divulge my own... Oh, Jesus. What country is this shipping from? Yeah, the price went up to $40. I was like, yeah, maybe. I'll check into it. Let's see if there's another one. Because it's like $25 or best offer plus $10 shipping. So somehow it goes up to $35, and there must be tax on top of that because it gets like prohibitively more expensive after that. So we're going to take a look. I don't really need one new in box. I'm going to open it up right away. Wow, William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy trading card for $129. So, interestingly, if I didn't know any better, I'd look at this and I'd say, oh, I can fix that scratch. But we know that we may not be able to fix that scratch. Now, actually, I may be able to fix that scratch with some brake cleaner. That could be a smudge. That could be something else. But this may be trivial. Now, this one might not even work, though. There's a risk it doesn't work. It's missing a battery cover, but if I break this one, when I'm done, I'll have a spare battery cover. So, I don't have an issue there. If the chassis is more worn on this one, well, I can swap the chassis. So realistically, I just need a circuit board and a screen. Although if this one works without swapping those parts, I would leave it as is, and keep this one as a collectible backup, sort of, so to speak. But it's an option. My computer's making more noise. The fan's getting louder. So yeah, I got to take like pictures, and I got to put together a video about this because this is the Ninja Turtle game that I lost as a kid that got jacked. My brother left at a friend's house. So yeah, for the if I want to guilt trip my brother, I could be like, hey bro, remember that game you left at Alvin's house? I'm not gonna do that though, but I could. I think he's got a baby on the way, so yeah, maybe like yeah, it takes precedence, unfortunately. And I'm sure there might be another one laying around. I actually am not sure if there's another one laying around. I don't know. This one's going for $600. Granted, some of them are brand new, some of them are old. Here's one. This one is the one we were just looking at, but it says working read. Okay, let's read. Let's scroll down and see. Konami 25th anniversary Star Trek LCD handheld game, 1990 vintage working read. Yeah, I'm reading. Batteries were put into test. Did power on and audio did work. Does not having the battery cover. Has markings from storage. So this one's probably a safe bet to gamble on because like you're not overspending on it. And there's a possibility that scratch could be removed using brake cleaner. There's a possibility that scratch isn't even in the glass. I'm really not sure what to make of it. But if I do clean it with brake cleaner, I'm going to have to be way more careful than my brother as a kid. And use in fact, I ordered some sterile Q-tips or sterile cotton swabs. So what I would do is I would dip it in brake cleaner and just, give it like a little swipe in the center and make sure that there's not like excess that can spill over the side, because as we can see here, any excess spillover will get in through the side. You can see that. Now, good news about brake cleaner is, and look at that, I'm pushing on the LCD. Now, I don't know if that's liquid crystal fluid, because LCD display panels have like sort of like a liquid in them. But what I'm doing is I'm pushing the bubble out. I'm hoping that I'm not breaking it by doing that. Yeah, I'm not really sure what to make of this. We maybe can go and be a little more aggressive with the alcohol now that we know we have options. Okay, I definitely got a little aggressive on that. But that's okay. I'm kind of giving it like a flush, you know what I mean? Like, I'm letting the liquid flush to the side. But yeah, anyway, so I had a fan in my computer because I picked up a liquid cooler a while ago, an all-in-one liquid cooler. Not because I wanted one, because I'm really against them, but because I needed something that would be in stock the same day. Because when I bought this computer from a friend, I bought the motherboard, and he sold me the motherboard. He sold me the RAM, or at least half the RAM for the computer I put in there. He sold me, like basically the CPU and the motherboard, yeah. And so I wanted this thing up and running that day, and I didn't want to wait for shipping, so I went to Best Buy and I picked up whatever was in stock. And the problem with that was, well, it's not a problem really, but all-in-one liquid coolers are like, they could be hit or miss, but it's a Corsair liquid cooler. It's all right. It's like the water block is integrated. It's not detachable. It's all, integrated. It's just a pair of tubes going into a radiator. Now, it normally wouldn't fit in this type of computer case, but I have a full tower case, so there's surplus room in the top of the case. There's also fans at the top of the case. There's an exhaust fan in the back, or at least an empty slot for an exhaust fan. But what I did was I used a pair of slow-moving case fans on the top of the computer case. And then I ended up removing the fan that came with the water thing, and I put it in the back of the case. But instead of initially it was aiming outward, but when the temperature got hot, the fan would get louder, but it was like in the wrong direction. So I actually pointed the fan backwards so that the air that would normally come out of the computer from the back is now going in. The exhaust fan is becoming a suction fan. And it worked good for a while, but when the RPMs rev up, it's creating positive air pressure, so that should create more efficient cooling. But it sort of like, you know, didn't always correspond. The increased RPM didn't always correspond to, you know, better cooling. Or you know, it certainly got noisier before it got cooler. So I decided to like directly mount the fan underneath the radiator. So it's sort of like now you have a fan pushing and you have a fan pulling on either side of the radiator. Yeah, that seems to be working all right. Okay. I can hear it, but it's definitely, for the noise it's making, it is working more efficiently. So there's that. But anyway, we're going to let the alcohol dry off this. I think this can still function with the alcohol inside of it. But yeah, I don't really know. In fact, I know what's happening now. So, okay, that's scary, but I think we're okay there. So what I just did was, I just peeled away the film. Now this is where things get a little sketchy. And what we're going to do, instead of like removing the film even more, we're putting this thing back together like right now to see if I broke it. Because I always remember, like, this is like when I bought that broken Game Boy. It was the same situation. It was like, it was just like this. So anyway, actually the good news is alignment shouldn't be an issue, because this is sort of like our template, right? This is a jig that is supposed to keep everything lined up just right. And you can see, oh God, oh yeah, I just made the buttons fall out. That's funny, I was extra careful to prevent that. Now, this is one of the parts where I would have ran into trouble as a kid. And I would have just gotten impatient and given up on it. It would have been like, okay, the buttons fell out. And I would spend like a couple minutes trying to get them in. And it would be like playing whack-a-mole, and I would give up. Because, you know, you can see how this could get tedious. You can see how this procedure can get tedious. At some point, I have to test out the memory card reader for my Nintendo 64 memory card backup hardware. Because last time I tried to test it on stream, it did not work. And I was like really disappointed, because I was like, you know, I mean, like that thing was, you know, like already disappointing. And I was pretty good in what it was able to do. It's just that there were some minor things. Okay, good news is we got all of the buttons already there. So now we can do one of two things. I think we're supposed to keep this on the circuit board, but I like putting it here because it lines up. And then of course we know that the circuit board screws in to the plastic, so we can line it up just right too. Meanwhile, it doesn't feel wet here, so I think what I'm going to do is I am going to put the cardboard back. Now we got our transporter room. But yeah, I think this is like literally a capacitor that serves in the same capacity, serves in the same manner as a clock battery or a CMOS battery, except in this case, instead of keeping time, it's keeping high scores. Although I don't know how much you can count on it. You know, if you have dead batteries in there a long time, it's going to need a new charge, and that's not going to happen until you put new batteries in. So I'm going to be real careful here, because I could feel it rocking in there, you know, I could feel it like rocking side to side. Oh, I think we got it. So now we're just going to put one screw in, and then we'll go back and check on the telescope in a second. In fact, we're going to put the telescope on screen, and we got 6 frames in so far, so that's good. Okay, so we're looking at that right now. And I'll jump back to the video game device in a second. But yeah, my friend Indiana Jones, who was in the YouTube chat, you know, he likes to change it up on a monthly basis. And this month he decided to make it Indiana Jones June, which I think is a very cool name. know, from a cool character. Oh, you know why this screw isn't going in? So a little lesson here for anybody curious. So I'm trying to put a screw into the corner here, but it's not going in. And that's because this screw is actually an external screw hole. This screw hole is not, or this socket is not for internal screws. Whereas over here, we have an internal screw hole right there. Now, another rule of thumb, now sometimes you would use a smaller screwdriver, but this one happens to fit. But I'm not going to tighten them up all the way. I'm going to just snug them up gently, and I'm going to leave them little wiggle room before I lock it down, just like the source section on the Enterprise D. Or sort of like the sources section. In fact, I think the sources section on the Enterprise is a bit more of a precision instrument, right? Now, those docking clamps line up. But yeah, so today, Indiana Jones on YouTube, which I believe the YouTube channel was, shit, I forget. It's got @ Indiana Jones, shit, I forgot his name, but I literally, like, interact, I share his stuff out. He's affiliated with Action Man Gaming. That is a full YouTuber name right there, Action Man Gaming. He is a man of action. And it was great. Today, he did a stream, like his introductory stream as far as I could tell, where he put on a voice, I think it was his actual voice, but it sounded like Indiana Jones. And he played in the character of Indiana Jones. Well, I'm sorry, he is Indiana Jones. But, you know, it was just good entertainment. And then he read Indiana Jones, I think it was Raiders of the Lost Ark comic book. He read it out loud and stuff, you know, and made some jokes, which is always good. Huh. Am I missing a screw? I might be missing a screw. But we're just going to push through right now. We're just going to get these in here. And if we're missing a screw, we'll identify the missing screw after. Yep, there it is. I found it. Good. We got everything now. And, you know, this month it's Indiana Jones June. That is my point. I'm sorry, I'm meandering on the point here. And so he's going to do Indiana Jones for the month. And he's been playing Indiana Jones Super Nintendo games. And I went to play the same game, but I didn't have the one where he's using the inflatable boat on the snow. I have the game on my emulator, which is basically where he's going through the cave. And I didn't get up to the part where the big ball is chasing Indiana Jones, you know, the big giant rock that's rolling through the tunnel. I didn't get to that part yet. But I watched Indiana Jones on YouTube play through that part, so I know it's in that game. Now, maybe the game with the inflatable boat was on a different console. Maybe that wasn't Super Nintendo. Maybe it was, what is that shit called? Genesis. But in any case, I gotta update my emulators. Now, I think I'm gonna give up on playing Super Nintendo on my Nintendo DS, 3DS, because unless the emulator I'm using just stinks, maybe there's a better emulator and I could just use a different emulator. The SNES emulator I was using on my my 3DS, it just doesn't play the audio quite right. But I do remember, you know, on my Steam Deck it played flawlessly, so I'm gonna play it on my Steam Deck. And I did play the Indiana Jones game right after, like, having a subpar audio experience on my 3DS. I did play it on my Steam Deck and it worked. And I remember initially playing Sequest. Okay. I have to put pressure on it. Yeah, okay, good, it works. You can see the Klingon bird of prey in the corner. And so what I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to, like, move this button around and the bird of prey is supposed to attack me while I move my shields around. But it looks like I didn't wreck it. So I didn't get rid of the soap or whatever the residue is. I didn't get rid of the soap residue. But I did manage to not break it either. So I'd consider that a win. You know what I mean? Like, it's a net. I guess I'm at a net neutral right now. So I'll take that as a win. And then at my leisure, I can go on eBay and pick and choose which device or which, used hardware I want to buy. But I'm going to switch back to the good camera now, right? Because we don't care about this game anymore. I mean, we don't care about this particular device. Of course, we care about Star Trek. Star Trek is life. No, okay, but have any of you guys ever watched any of the mainstream Star Trek channels, like Trek Core? They're all right. I mean, I don't watch them all the time, but like sometimes they'll come up with my, notifications or my feed, and I'll give them a watch. But it's not my main cup of tea, And what was the other one? I was watching this guy. What the heck is his name? Venom Geek 98, I think his name is, and he seemed like a pretty nice chap. He sounds English, so that's why I call him a chap. And he once responded to my comment, and I didn't follow up on that response, but I also didn't want to annoy the guy, because sometimes I'll respond to a comment with a lengthy response, and sometimes people appreciate it. Sometimes they are like, okay, let's end this. So I spared the guy, but it was regarding Ukrainian tanks, actually, and there was some speculation, like, about, like, whether tank destruction or losses of tanks correspond to, actual deaths or losses of soldiers. And so he gave a reasonable response, but he was like he was pretty neutral in his response, which is nice, because like, sometimes people will be gung-ho on one side or the other, and I'm certainly not trying to look for that. So now let me just get my video preview window to come up. Windowed projector. And in this, I'm not going to keep it open, whenever I switch, but I want to just have it on screen so that I can toggle into it and access my Nintendo Switch. Might play Star Trek for NES or something like that, right? It's a good game. And I can show you, if you want, Spock, I can show you World Racing Championship. I do have it right here. But what I want to do real quick is make a video for my own content. And so in this video, I'm going to demonstrate... Oh, hey, it's not switching. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the record button, and I'm going to use this time real quick to make a video. Alrighty, in this video, we're going to test out Zelda Breath of the Wild amiibos on Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So that's pretty straightforward. We can just switch to the HDMI. Whoops, I do not want to pick that game. And here we are. We are in Zelda. So now we're going to press our left trigger. Hey, I'm not on screen. Allow me to fix that. There I am. All right, good. I didn't want to be off camera, And do we want to turn on the desk camera? Whoops. Forgive me. This video that I'm making is already going to need some editing. I was really hoping to like record a video in one shot, but since I'm streaming, I'm going to not repeat myself. I'll just edit later. And that is weird. Why is that happening? Do I have a filter on? I do. Okay, there we go. Okay, good. Now I can continue. Alrighty. So anyway, whoops. Let's shrink this window. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's shrink this window. People don't need to know I got a messy desk. No, I'm kidding. I don't care. Alright, let's see here. Good. There we go. Now we're good. Alrighty. We're going to begin by selecting the amiibo option. So we're holding down the L or LZ. Is that LZ? Not L button. And we're going to go to A for amiibo. And now we just got to walk to an area where we see this circle here. And we're going to just... And there we go. We got some goodies right there. And now, in this case, these are things I'm picking up for the first time. So it's going to prompt me. It's going to tell me, hey, this is a new thing. Now, I believe there is a setting that might allow me to disable that if I find that behavior, annoying. Interestingly, there's a bunch of crap I didn't know about Breath of the Wild that I learned in the introductory phase of this game. So when I go back to, finish that game, I'll be better prepared. So right off the bat, this is an amiibo. Okay, so actually I should explain myself first because I didn't even explain myself. So this is an amiibo, a copy of an amiibo tag from an official amiibo tag. You know, you buy an amiibo tag, you got an action figure, you put it on your shelf. So I don't want to have to go and put an action figure on top of this every time. So, you know, you could actually copy amiibo tags to your phone using an NFC reader and then write them to blank tags. Now these are write once tags. I don't know how that works exactly, but bottom line is that once you write to a tag, you can't overwrite the information. But it's like a dime a dozen. It's not even. It's like they're really cheap. So I just kind of put like a little inscription on each one, and typically I'll keep them inside of my Nintendo Switch travel case. So right now we got 2 more we can try out, and I believe one of these says wolf, so we're gonna try the wolf last because it's something that I just kind of like tried out one day. It's called Wolf Link, and I don't know who or what Wolf Link is, but it's a thing. Now can we go outside? Oh, I'm in a cave right now, so whatever. Okay, we're not going outside, that's all right. So we're gonna do the same thing. And we got mushrooms and stuff. So like basically like amiibos can be expensive, but you can use these every 24 hours. And so if you already have the amiibo from Breath of the Wild, yeah, you can use them in Tears of the Kingdom. And if you're willing to buy a nice figurine, you can get these. Otherwise, yeah, if I was able to write these to NFC tags, I did not buy every figurine here. I'll admit right now, I did not buy every figurine. So some of these I simply managed to download. I did a little Google search and I found some, downloadable amiibo tags, and I put them on my phone. In fact, I downloaded it straight to my phone, and then I used an app to write to these blank NFC tags. And so we're gonna do the last one. Wait, did I do this one already? I did. Now this is gonna be the weird one. Okay, that was not Wolf Link. Or maybe in this game, it's possible they changed the meaning of the tags. So what we're going to do is we're going to try these tags out in Breath of the Wild right now and see if they do different stuff, because I was expecting a wolf to come out. Unless I'm misreading that, I was expecting a pet wolf, and I did not get me a pet wolf just now. So I hope I'm not exiting the game uncleanly, but I mean, I did save my game. So we're gonna go and look for bot W. I played it pretty recently. I think I played it recently. Yeah, I played it more recently than... here we are. I really liked this game because I don't really have much experience with old Zelda. The Zelda game that I played the most was Zelda DX on a Game Boy Color when I was a kid, and I gotta buy a copy of that, or I think I have a copy of it floating around, or I'll make sure I have a copy on my cartridge. But I do need to get like into that game again. I really liked it. Okay, so I was apparently in the Faron grasslands. I was picking up some hardy durians because, if you get a hardy durian, it's a fruit or vegetable. I guess it's a fruit. You get like, you can make stuff. You can make some like really, really nutritious meal out of that apparently. So now, whoops, I lost it. Let's repeat that again. So once again, we're gonna go down this hill so we don't lose. Oh, what am I wearing? Oh yeah, I'm wearing the funny helmet. I remember now. It's nice being able to play this game after not playing it for a while. Oh, okay, this game's different. You gotta press the up button on the D-pad. Then... And I always found like... Oh, okay, so that's interesting. That is interesting. You know what just happened there? Okay, never mind. I thought it wasn't gonna work. That is interesting. So, this tag, which I just used in Tears of the Kingdom, this tag did not summon Wolf Link, but it gave me a bunch of meat. It gave me a bunch of beef, steak, whatever the heck. I got a bunch of meat from using the wolf tag. But when I went back to Breath of the Wild, I did indeed summon Wolf Link, as you can see here. And so the good news is the 24-hour limit does not apply to, you know, both games. Only, you know, it's one game each. So you can use the tags in both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom every single day. I think it resets at like 11 o'clock at night or something like that. I'll look it up later, but bottom line, yeah. Wait, where did the stupid wolf go? Okay, there he is. Oh man, I wasted an arrow. That's the only issue with the wolf link, is that he does get distracted. And you gotta like kind of rein him in. Now, did I just lose the metal chest that I just summoned? That kind of stinks. I may have lost that metal box containing valuable goods. Now, granted, it said my inventory was full, but I'd still like to know what was in that box to decide if it was worth my time. Oh well, I guess I did lose out on that. Oh well. That kind of sucks. So I was afraid of losing the dog, and instead I ended up losing the treasure chest. Okay, let's see what else we got. Now, if you use the tag already, it won't let you use it. That's expected. Okay, we got more amaranth. You know, we got all of that. We got a horse lady, if anybody's seen that. Oh, a knight's shield. Now, my inventory is full, but if I have a shield that I've already, you know, been using, then I might as well remove this shield right now. Oh, and that one has durability up. Now, in the meantime, I can also take it a step further and see, do I have any shield that I don't want? Well, I got 2 durability up knight's shields that are unused. I got 1 unused guardian shield. I got a semi-used guardian shield. I have this one, which is a better shield. It's a royal shield, durability up. So basically, I don't want to give up any of these shields, but at some point, I do want to trade in Karakarot seeds or whatever for, you know, more shield slots. Now, one of the things you could do with a shield like this is... Oh wait, I forgot how to do this. There's supposed to be an ability to surf down a hill. And I think at some point I traded in a bunch of stamina or hearts for stamina. I forgot how to do this, but there's actually a method for... I can't remember how to do this. Oh, that's cool. Why did I not know I could do that? I mean, I think I did. I just didn't pay attention during training. You know, so, you know, we can do... so what I was trying to do just now is... do trigger button and surf downhill. I don't know why I can't do it. I'm going to find out why. In the meantime, let's check on the astrometrics. So right now we can see we zoomed in quite a bit. And if we zoom out, we got pretty good detail there. And, you know, every frame can be combined to get us better definition. But I think possibly after the next exposure or so, I might change targets. If anybody wants to weigh in on that, let me know. But essentially, we want to, you know, consider this target here. Whereas this one here, I don't even know what the nebulosity... I don't know why the nebula here is not listed here. I know that Saturn is a super bright star. I know that the Inchworm cluster is a magnitude 7. But I'm not sure if the nebula behind the cluster counts as, you know, as anything. Well, if it's a magnitude 7, that means that the Veil Nebula is also. So we buy ourselves a little more time with this target here. Although, maybe we keep blasting. I know it's a tough decision now. Actually, you know what we could do is switch filters. Now, I guess what we want to do is Google this to see what people do. Because oh, my turtle. I hit the wrong button. I'm sorry. Love my turtle, but I'm going to switch to a different camera. I'm sorry about that, guys. At some point, I got to... Oh, is this loose again? One of these days, I'm going to use this Target gift card. I hope it didn't expire yet. And I hope I didn't just show the barcode on camera. So, we are looking at the Inchworm cluster, and so we see other people imaging it. The Pleiades, I think, is out of season right now. I don't know why the Pleiades is labeled as the Inchworm cluster. That looks like the Pleiades to me, unless the Inchworm cluster does image like that. But you can see like the very stellar look. Now, these spiky images you don't get those spikes on this type of telescope. People add them in as a style, but I don't believe in adding diffraction spikes as a style. You know, this cross-shaped star, because it's not there. But the telescopes that have that mirror in the front, basically if you have like little veins or those little metal brackets holding the thing in the front of the middle on a reflecting telescope, that is what causes those spikes. So some people, you can see this guy got a really wide... Oops, excuse the noise. This person took a really wide shot on an SLR camera. This person might have taken a pretty wide shot too. Let's see if we could get like... And it looks like this one here, the person did mix... Oh, I see. They used a different color palette. Okay. So that's a whole other thing. But people do some weird stuff like... the Hubble color palette is where they basically swap out certain colors with, you know, the wrong color for scientific purposes, so that they can sort of analyze the presence of certain gases. And so now let's see if we can get some information here. They took 30 darks, 50 flats. Those are basically like calibration frames. Bias frames are usually pretty optional, but we care about the actual filters used. They used a Takahashi telescope, which is a damned expensive telescope right there. A beautiful piece of equipment, but expensive. And only thing it's not telling me is like what filters they used. This is the Inchworm cluster, the constellation of Cygnus, and blah blah blah. 3,700 light years away. It is surrounded by nebulosity from the Butterfly Nebula. Okay, that's helpful. I can use that information in a moment. They used Sequence Generator Pro, which is like a program that helps to automate the process a little bit. The problem with automating it, well, I was going to do that tonight, but I decided to like keep my risks down. But I was very tempted to automate this more thoroughly, but I felt the autofocus wasn't really there. Now, it's telling me the guy did 88 pictures at 150 seconds each. So right now, the picture you see is 5 minutes worth of exposure time. This guy decided to go with a shorter exposure time, possibly to keep light pollution at bay, or possibly because there was some of the extenuating factor. But some people, they'll use like shorter exposures, and they'll use more of them. They'll take more pictures of shorter exposure time in order to keep light pollution down. Others, especially if you're in a low light pollution environment, will take a fewer pictures with longer exposures. And in my case, I want to see progress, so I usually go and I favor the longer exposure. But also I have a very, very, very limiting filter, ultra narrow band, in order to limit light pollution. So I think I can afford that more. I can get away with that. Guy says he is gain 50. I feel like this is like these settings are not equivalent to my camera, so that doesn't help me. But they said butterfly nebula, so let's see if we can find out what filters work on the butterfly nebula. I don't believe it. Yep. They used infrared. They did use O3 to get the blue. They did use hydrogen alpha, which is what I'm using right now. And they used a few exotic filters to get some of the colors. So this butterfly shape, I'm not going to see this because I don't think I'm going to see it because I'm using different filters. But I am going to toggle over to the hydrogen filter for the first oxygen filter for like the first time in a while. And even though I don't expect much from this, I want to give it a chance because I waited like a year for that filter to ship at one point. So, you know, we're going to give it a chance. Okay, so we're going to switch to a short exposure. And we can see that like nothing registers. Which is like no surprise because like we're blocking out like every freaking bit of... Oh, we see a star. We see something. Oh, and you can see right here. There are two very faint dots. In fact, there's the best dot right there. And that's because, there we go. That's actually very helpful. So, we got light pollution here. Oh, not light pollution. It's out of focus. So, that's expected. When you switch between filters, that's not uncommon. So, we're going to see first if we can crank it inward because it's generally easier to go in than out. Okay, good. Going inward on the rack and pinion mechanism seems to help. So we're going to shorten exposure. We're going to cut it in half now. Because I have that one star there that seems to be like pretty easy to see. It's just that every time I make an adjustment, I got to wait like about 1 to 2 seconds. But that's progress right there. We are progress. We are making progress. We are progressive today, my friends. I'm kidding, of course. I was thinking about doing a spot where I read my Reddit comments or Reddit comment responses to my Reddit comments. Only issue I have is that when I do these really short exposures, I see the stars dancing around a lot. So that means that if I make, you know, if I get my mechanism adjusted right, I could probably get like much sharper imagery. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now, I've thought about telling the auto guiding software to like do like maybe like shorter exposures to see if that helps. So we could do like, instead of 1 second exposures, half a second. And most likely this camera can handle it. Let's take a look. See, I think it's dancing around more now. It might be a more consistent dancing pattern, but also have to remember that the atmosphere is going to do what atmosphere does. That's not too bad. You know what? I better stick with this setting right now. I think I might have been shorting myself by not not using it. So I'm gonna make a note that tells me that I used different auto guiding settings when I when I imaged this object, and maybe that will help us. Oh, to my mouse point. Okay, good. So we got, oh, it's still kind of dancing a little bit. I'm gonna take my chances. I can always change the setting after. So we're gonna do 5 minutes on hydrogen, on oxygen. I'm gonna set a timer so I don't forget to check. It's just gonna take 10 minutes for that first picture to come in. Now we could experiment and try a shorter exposure to see like if we see anything, but then we waste an extra minute. So I'm gonna go for broke and see what happens. So we're gonna set the timer for like 3:14. Oh, 3:14 a.m. And we're pretty much ahead of schedule right now, so this is good. I'm pleased to say I am somewhat ahead of schedule. You know, in terms of like the specter of sunrise, as we call it, right? So now let's see here. We're gonna switch the camera here. Oh, this is loose. Okay, in the meantime, we're gonna switch back to Zelda Beer of the Wild. Whoops. And then maybe I'll check out that racing game in a moment there, Mr. Spock. Mr. Spock. I was saying, like, I'm imitating Captain Kirk. It's not a very good Captain Kirk imitation, I'll admit. Alrighty. So I got... Oh yeah, I wanted to look up how to do shield surfing. Okay, press jump button, and then while in flight, tap A to do a flip while the shield is at your feet. While running, press jump, and then in mid-air, tap the shield parry button, A. I don't know why I can't... I don't think this guide is accurate. To shield surf, you must have a shield equipped and preferably be near a downward sloping terrain. While running, press X, and while in mid-jump, tap the shield parry button, A, which is... I mean... Maybe I'm on the wrong type of terrain, but I feel like this should be enough. Yeah, so basically we had a pretty good shot, but I adjusted my auto guiding settings, so I might have been able to get a sharper shot. But if you rewind a little bit on the YouTube side, because I don't think we could rewind on Rumble, I disabled DVR on Rumble in order to get lower latency. It came out pretty decent. We took like 10 more exposures with the current 5-minute exposure setting. And what I just did a couple of minutes ago, in fact, 5 minutes ago, good. Okay, about 4 minutes, we got, let me see. Yeah, we got like 40 seconds left and then another 5 minutes. So in 5 minutes and 30 seconds, we're going to get a new picture in oxygen. So right now, this was the hydrogen alpha ionized hydrogen filter. And I decided to switch to oxygen, or O3. And we're going to see, I'm very curious to see how that one comes out, because the hydrogens were coming out pretty decently. But now we're going to see O3, but it's going to take another 5 minutes for that one to be ready. So yeah, like I said, I don't know. Like I'm gonna at some point I'm gonna do a test and see if I can rewind on YouTube. I mean on Rumble. And see if like it really, you know, changes the latency. Oh wait, is it ready already? Oh yeah, I calculated the wrong time. It's 5 more minutes. Okay, 3:19. So yeah, by 3:18 or 3:19, we'll know. In the meantime, I'm just kind of trying to remember how to shield surf in Zelda because it ain't working right now. Oh wait, I remember this. I think now. Let me see. I'm gonna try something here. I want to say it was like flying. It's sort of like. There we go. Got it. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, like in this game, you meet these like guys who look like stoners, and they're like all about surfing it. And they basically sell you like a shield, and they tell you get a metal shield if you want a better surfing experience. But you can see like essentially they tell you that the shield will last you longer if you surf on grass and not rock. But if I can get a new shield of a good, like this is a good shield. So if I get a new good shield every day, I'm not really worried. Oh, this motherfucker. I don't know if I killed the guy or merely stole his shield. But I do believe the dog is dead now. Yeah, so there goes my wolf. And you cannot kill horses. I can tell you that for a fact. I think you can kill horses by throwing them off a cliff, but that's like really messed up. I mean, even though there's no real AI. Yeah, I know. I think this game is loads of fun too, Spock. And you know, I understand some people have like, you know, they're not like they play it and they enjoy it, but they're not like there's things they don't like about it. And I can only imagine that that's because they, you know, come from a heritage of old school Zelda. And you know, they're just accustomed to that. So I can respect that. But as a relative outsider from the Zelda-verse, I am like, you know, quite a fan. I wonder if carrying all these shields and stuff makes me noisier. Oh, no. Like, I don't even need a horse. I'm just trying to get a horse anyway. Like, I think I literally have my horse at the end of the road. I think I have a horse icon at the end of the road that represents my horse. Do you remember how I... Oh, no, no, no. Okay, whatever. I forgot how you, like, make a horse happy. Like, you gotta, like, press a trigger button or something, like, pet them on the back. But yeah, like, I just, there's so many things I can do in this game that I enjoy. And the idea, like, of, like, just sneaking up.
Neva's grace is ready.
Oh, 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 there we go. See, that's why I made the mistake. Oh, that picture's ready. So it looks like I'm getting pretty good technique with, you know, catching horses, which is cool. Okay, so no surprise that it looks bright, but we're gonna just hit the histogram stretch and we may be able to like get something that we like out of this. So yeah, not impressed at all. All I'm getting is the amp glow. I think I see some nebulosity here. I just, for some reason or another, it's not really shining through. Like the stars look fine. Oh, and I didn't even take the picture. Okay, there we go. But we can tinker with the histogram a little bit because we can see what the computer is doing to automatically adjust the histogram. So we can kind of crank it up and then crank it down. I can see some evidence of, you know, nebulosity. There's definitely something there. It's just not much. So I can tell you right now, Spark, switching to the O3 filter definitely did not seem like it was worth it. There's some targets that do better with O3. Now, what I might do is take a little gamble since the other target is not far off. I think we're going to go and switch to the East Vale Nebula right now. So we're going to do... Whoops, wrong button. So we're going to do... And so we basically have told the auto guiding to stop. Then we go back to the imaging, no, the aiming, and we're going to tell it slew to the target. Now, there's also a Mothra star cluster. Yeah, so I mean, we got it in hydrogen, and you know, like we rewind in the YouTube side, we can see that. But over here, we might be off target on this one. So I can take a gamble and let it do the 5-minute exposure. So if I do a 5-minute exposure on this target, it's going to actually be wasting the rest of this exposure. So I'm going to waste 1 minute right now. But by the end of that 1 minute, it's going to settle down and we'll be able to like lock into the auto guiding. Like you can see right now, the star is moving up because it's sort of settling down, but it already settled down. So now we can tell it lock on. We are pointing a little bit lower into the sky. So in a way, I put myself in a less favorable position, potentially wasting precious exposure time in order to, you know, start catching the Veil, because I just want to get some imaging time on the Veil Nebula. It seems like a target that would be rewarding to capture. So we're going to let that sit and see how that goes. And we got to give that 5 more minutes, basically. Had my telescope been swinging across a wide swath of sky, I would probably run into that annoying problem where the focus mechanism gets rattled and I'd have to redo the focus. But I'm kind of gonna gamble that isn't gonna be a massive issue. Like, I think, you know, we were just kind of tilting from up here to like over here, so I don't think there was enough like movement to mess it up. So I've set the timer on my watch. I'm gonna jump back over to Breath of the Wild in the meantime. That's literally my horse right there. Like, my horse is gonna get jealous. I'm gonna reward this horse. I don't think it matters, but I'm gonna, even though like I really shouldn't be like teasing the horse. I have 100 and something apples. I might as well get rid of them. My horse is like, give me that apple. All right, all right. Sorry, bud. I got my own pet to take care of. Hey, wait. I hope this horse doesn't get jealous. I kind of feel bad. The new one's pretty good, but I'm stuck. So I'm taking a short break while I play this game for a little bit, because I'm pretty far along in this game. Oh, cricket. Got it. I'm pretty far along in this game right now. Whereas the other game, it's like, I'm a little bit lost, and I'm not going to go and like look at maps on stream and try to figure out where the heck I am. I might just rewind through another person's stream, like Nerdporeal Lifeform or Prophet of the Dragon, and see where they were at. And part of the problem is that I probably like followed the wrong order. So yeah, but that's the answer to that question. Oh wait, where's the chat button? Ooh, I gotta readjust that. I want to make sure I get your chat messages on screen, Indy. So Indiana Jones, he's watching. I'm watching Temple of Doom and tweeting about all of the people that betrayed me. It's pretty funny. Keep that on for like a minute. I hope that horse isn't following me. I feel terrible for like attracting that horse. I mean, it really doesn't matter. This game is like, it's not like hyper realistic, but it's got like enough environmental realism that you feel like you're really interacting with your environment. I hate those assholes. Those balloon ass mother effers. They're always like throwing rocks at you when you're just trying to chill. Oh, that's good. You know, it's interesting. If you ever like get a lot of these tentacles, you can pretty much cut down a tree and use them. Dude, you're not even a strong motherfucker. Oh, I think we got the next picture. Let's take a look. Yo, I do too. I hate having to look up walkthroughs and maps as well. And, you know, yeah, I mean, like, that's like the thing, like, I never really got deep into the original Legend of Zelda, because that was a, you know, thing, you know, like, I mean, heck, I took half my childhood, basically, or at least half the first half of my childhood. Like I say, I think I beat Metroid when I was like 10 years old, but I started playing when I was like 5 years old. So I think that's like a good chunk of my childhood right there. You know, took the slow approach, but then at some point I used an issue of Nintendo Power. 10 seconds remaining, 6 seconds remaining. And so it was that Nintendo Power issue where they had the maps where they basically dumped the bitmap images from the game as like, you know, the entire side scroll map was just printed out on pages, and it helped a lot. Why aren't you a mod here? I'll make you a mod right now. Now, honest question, you can help me out with this one, Indy. When I make someone a mod, wait, where's the button? Now, I would definitely happily make you a mod right now. I just get, oh, here we are. I gotta go bring the menu up. Here we are. Now, when YouTube lets me make a mod, it gives me two options, and like I'm trusting you with this because I'm sure you're not gonna tell me to give you like unfettered power to like delete my channel. But honestly, which one do I pick? Managing moderator or standard moderator? Like, which one did you pick on your channel when you made me a moderator? Like, I'm at a loss. I don't know what button to pick. Like, last time I picked someone as a mod, I made him a standard moderator, and they didn't mind. And I even said, like, let me know if I should make you the other type. But it basically says, can manage blocked words. Just do standard mod. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what I did last time, because I figured, like, I didn't want the other person to feel responsible if a mistake happened. And it's like I don't expect you to hurt the channel. It's more like, if a mistake happens, like, then the person feels responsible, or you don't know who to point fingers at, or I don't know who to point fingers at. So yeah, if you made me a regular mod, then at least it's a two-way street. Well, basically, it seemed to say something about, like, basically you can edit the words that are banned, which, I mean, you know, realistically, the person running the channel should be doing anyway. I gotta actually message my friend, Nerd Poor Real Life Form, and ask him, okay, this filter's looking better on this target, yo, Spock. Okay, now, the problem with this target, Spock, and of course, Indy, we'll get back to your chat in a moment, because you got some stuff in the chat there. We can see a faintness over here, but the problem was that you got streaks because the telescope was slewing. So basically, we have some residuals here that we gotta wait for it to settle down. I think this is actually from the previous target. This is the star from the, yeah, so this is Saturn from the previous target. And when the telescope started slewing, it went up and like sideways, and it made the streaks like that, basically. So we could definitely see the veil. So what's really fucking cool is that we could take pictures in O3, finally making use of that $300 O3 filter that was back ordered for like a year. And then we can switch back to HA, and that will be basically a balance. We'll basically have blue and red for that nebula. So when we do the processing on it, I'll actually have more than one color, which is awesome. Yeah, you know, my Russian coworker said something like that, and I said, look, man, I'll give it a chance. Like, basically, I won't hold it against Nintendo as long as they don't do it again. Like, if they come out with another Zelda game 3 years from now, right? How long did it take for the sequel to come out? If they come out with another game 3 years from now, and it's the same game engine or whatever, then I'm going to be tight, you know? Then I'm going to hold it against them. But I'm not going to hold it against them this time, because you know what? You might as well use what you got. It worked. They did add functionality. They did change things up a bit, right? So I'm willing to give them, like, the benefit of the doubt on that one. I had, like, I bought a copy of that game once, but it was, like, a bad used copy, and it was in the gold cartridge, and it turns out it's one of the games that goes bad the most. Like, the battery in the cartridge goes bad, and it's a known problematic cartridge. But I played it a little bit in recent time, but like I said, Zelda DX on Game Boy was my shit. It played on the black and white Game Boy, and I think it was one of the few games. I think Zelda DX was one of those titles where it worked on the original Game Boy in black and white, but it also supported color on a Game Boy Color. Like, it had proper color on a Game Boy Color. And I was really into playing the fishing game in that, the mini game. It was like you had to get fish so Zelda Link could eat. So, you know, there was that. But that's cool, man. I appreciate that. We basically have an idea. Let's edit the, you know, stuff. Oh, there's a reason. Okay, I did not. That's why I'd never seen it before. I totally agree. Notorial, he used to try to grow his channel in my chat when I used to be popular, but he's still cool with me. Yeah, no, I mean, he's a cool cat, you know, like, I met the Notorial life form, like, what was it, like, over a year ago, probably 2 years ago at this point, and a year and a half, 2 years ago, and he popped into Loki's Mornings of Mischief's chat. Probably growing his channel over there too, but you know, I'd like to think he's also there to enjoy a good show. Oh, Madon, look at that. Well, I just use that sound that Italian guys use when they're looking at a hot chick. But holy shit, look at that. Look at that, Spock, if you're there, man. Oh, man. Get the Enterprise. Call McCoy. I'm a doctor, not an astronomer. But yeah, like, I may have to make some adjustments. It is very grainy, but that could be the atmosphere. That could be some residual nebulosity. But zoomed out, we definitely see like nice tendrils, and hopefully like getting enough pictures and doing like image processing will clean it up. Now, here's the only issue is that if I don't know if I'm centered correctly, and I'm definitely afraid of recentering this target, but I guess, you know what, it doesn't hurt to run it through the plate solving. So we got a picture in the plate solving utility. So, we got a picture ready for the plate solving. So I'm going to go ahead and, uh-oh. I think it mislabeled these images. Yeah, it totally mislabeled these images here. So we're gonna do a manual correction on this, because this happens sometimes where like if you don't stop the imaging and restart the imaging, it basically will mislabel the images, which is super duper confusing. Yeah, that's the veil. Okay, good. I'm gonna relabel this real quick so I don't get lost. I gave it this really obscenely long file name, but that's just so I have reference there. But now we're taking a new set of images, but I need to know this folder because I need to tell the... I just need to supply the most recent image to the plate solving utility so that while I'm reading the chat, there we go. Now it's processing. So anyway, yeah. Snowdub. Have I heard of Snowdub? He's my friend. No, I'm kidding. I almost met Snowdub in real life when I went to meet Loki and his crew in Texas. I went to Valhalla Con, which was like Loki's convention. But I also went for Retropalooza, and that was fun. You know, it was like kill two birds with one stone. And, you know, we watched Star Trek Wrath of Khan, you know, together. It was like a pretty good plan. Went to an arcade. Now, only issue was when I landed on the airplane, I should have booked a hotel room for the night before, because apparently hotels suck. Like, I guess if you're not lazy, you can call the hotel and ask if they'll let you come in early. But I ended up hanging out at the airport until like check-in time, and then I went and I had to like catch up on my lost sleep at the hotel. So I got to the arcade bar, a little retro, I think it's called Retro Play, retro game arcade. I got there late, and I still had fun, but I didn't get like the full like 4 hours. I got like 2 hours or 3 hours, something like that. I know it was still a lot of fun. We drank and had fun and had cake and all of that shit. And I just kind of showed up like fashionably late, said I was cool. But anyway, my point was that, yeah, I think Snowdub was in the area at the time, or Jolly as his name is, and you know, I could have met him, but he didn't show up. He couldn't show up. He was like doing something else, but he almost showed up. There was a possibility. He was on the phone. I could have met him that time. Now he is in Texas, in Dallas, I think this June, but you know, I'm not booking another trip to Texas. I mean, it's already too late. But I thought about it. I just felt like, you know. So let's see how far off target I am. That's not bad. I'm not correcting that. That reticle moved like a micron to the right, so we're not touching it. We're leaving that shit alone. But yeah, Snowdub, he's got a great channel. If you ever watched Floral from Under a Rock Indie, I was on his show a couple of times. Well, I was on his show as an actual guest once, and you know, it was all right. I could have done better, but I had fun, and you know, you always grow from like an experience like that. But also, like, even like as recently as like 3 weeks ago, I was like on, because like when sometimes they do this thing where they'll have like a YouTuber showdown, and they'll be like Eric July versus Star Wars Girl or some shit like that. Eric July versus Latino Slant, which his name is Paulie, and they'll do these like little showdowns, and Yeah, I was in one, and I actually like used like my drawing tablet, which is on my desk right now. This thing, which is on the side, to do John Madden graphics. You know, when he draws the little white, stick figures or the little arrows. I did that shit, but I drew like pictures to go with the showdown explanation. So we had a blast. And yeah, that guy's cool. Floral is a cool dude, and Wilton the troll is the troll that everyone loves to hate. I fucking love hating Wilton, that miserable. Anyway, and it's good to see Zanzo10. This guy, I haven't seen the guy in forever. I seen him tweet a few times. I made sure to like say what up on Twitter. But then this dude does a stream this morning, and this is like a morning where I had some lost sleep. We'll get back to that in a minute. It's good to see you, Zanzo10. This is probably a bad idea for me to mention that I'll drop a StreamYard link, a Restream link upon request, but I have to like tell myself to go to bed before the sun starts rising because like, you know, I'll get to that topic in a minute. It's pretty funny, but let me know if you want to link Zan. Zanzo10 is like Oprah, but not like Oprah, but he's like, he knows people everywhere in his country and our country, and he can talk a lot and get into deep discussion. He did his like first live stream today, and he talked about movies, and actually I was able to contribute to the discussion while trying to fall back asleep. And unfortunately I couldn't like enjoy the whole thing because I was trying to fall back asleep, but I enjoyed like a good half of that stream, and then I got myself to go back to sleep. You hear the original series theme kicking right now? Is that, it might be the Zelda game, I'm not sure, but I'll put the original series theme unless you rewinded the stream, because I did, you know, turn on this, this device was playing the original series theme earlier before, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm reading the chat. I gotta get something to link the Rumble chat. I gotta do something to get the Rumble chat to come together with the YouTube chat, or at least I'll investigate that. I think they got like a bot for that shit. But anyway, ADD on my part. So we're waiting for the next picture to come in. This is in O3 ionized oxygen. And then at some point before sunrise, we'll toggle over to a hydrogen alpha. But right now, we're looking so good in O3 that I'm going to let it be. My only issue is that, like, well, no issue really, right? I mean, it's very interesting how they selected this to be the center of the target. Like, I feel like the real center of the target should be, like, up here. But I'm just going to let it be because it is what it is. So, anyway, interesting. I don't know about that battery in the gold cartridge. I have the carts, but mostly use emulators on the Switch. Yeah, you know, I mean, I gotta, like, I don't even know if it's the battery itself, but I just know that, like, it wasn't uncommon for that cartridge to give people trouble, and I think it was one of the more advanced, beefier cartridges. So yeah, you met Jolly 2 years ago, and although I always appreciated Nerdporial comments, I just haven't seen him in months. Wait, you met Nerdporial 2 years ago? Oh yeah. And you know, like, you got like an interesting channel indeed, because like, you know, like your subscriber base is humongous somehow, and my guess, you know, I was speculating about that like yesterday and today, like in deep thought, because whenever you change your channel name, I always have to make sure I'm looking at the right channel and that's the same guy. And like, I was like speculating because I remember like when you were Spaghetti and Trek back in February, Ferengi Fantasy February, I was like, one day like I checked and I was like, oh shit, this guy got like 1,000. I'm talking to a guy with like thousands of subs, and I'm like, you know, not trying to be like starstruck or anything like that, but I'm like, you know, I was just like, that's cool. I can respect that. And like, what was it like? But I thought about it. I gave it thought, and I was like, I see the way you play your streaming games. So, you know, it seems that you do the grind. It's, what was it? Like a function of time and effort. You know, you put yourself out there and you put a lot. Oh yeah, and you had a shit ton of videos. That was the key right there. So you had a shit ton of streams and videos, or I forget which one you had, but you had a shit ton of something out there. And so, you know, you peppered YouTube with shit that can go into the search results, content. And obviously, like, you know, it's like, it's a numbers game. There's other factors too. You know, you got to be like, you know, getting people entertained, inviting people. I think the Action Man thing, that's like, Action Man gaming is criminally underrated. Now, I would say if you do, you know, redouble efforts to do what I like about Action Man, that God of War stream or the God of War video, I think it was a stream or video, that was a great one. Like, I don't know if maybe I might be easily impressed, but I've watched that God of War video like more than once, and I'm bound to watch it again at some point. Because like I don't know, I was super amused by that, between the voice modulation and just the idea of this being a lumberjack simulator. Because the bald guy is chopping down a tree, and he's like, you make a joke about a lumberjack simulator, talking about the debilitating nature of baldness, which of course you backpedaled on it. You like reply, you like, I'm just kidding, but like that was a funny joke. That was a good one. He's rowing the boat down the river, and you're like, oh, I'm not gonna sing that song, but like that was good. I gotta see. I don't even know what Old Man River is about, but I have a feeling that there's a joke my dad told me when I was a kid. Anyway, but yeah, let's see here. Let's see if we get Zanzo 10. I'm gonna put the link right in the chat, and I do have to definitely at some point I'm gonna like give myself a hard stop, probably about between 4:15 and 4:30, because I discovered if I push myself till 5 a.m. the sun starts rising anyway, and it becomes impossible to get good quality imaging. And the other issue is that it becomes impossible for me to wind it down. And like, even though I didn't sleep last night, I literally didn't sleep last night. It's fucking insane. I did not sleep last night. I don't remember sleeping. I mean, it's kind of hard to explain, Zanzo 10. I literally don't remember sleeping. And I may have slept last night. I'm not really sure. I just kind of did it. But let's check on Rumble, because Spock has some cool shit. I'm glad you were excited by the Veil Nebula Spock. I don't think I was playing the TOS song. Oh, literally. Okay, so Spock was like, I hear it playing in my head when you showed the Eastern Veil Nebula. Such a trip. All right, that's cool. Yeah. Just like the NES game. Do they, Indy, do you know if they have Star Trek, the original series, on the NES store? I mean, on the NES. I'll check it in a minute, actually. But if they don't have it on the Nintendo Switch, I got it on my Xbox. Yeah, so I mean, okay, so that's another thing. I was actually oh, God bless you there. But like, and I put the link out as Zanzo 10, but like I was like, I didn't want to put that, I didn't want to like, say that. I didn't want to be like, maybe your base is fake, because then it sounds accusatory, saying that you have a fake base. But it did cross my mind. It crossed my mind, and I think if you're saying it means that it's not because of your own action. It means that it's a fake base because of bots or bad guys or bad actors, but not you. But like, it did cross my mind that like like it was like that time I used to play World of Warcraft when I was like 15 years ago, I think. And one day I paid some like random website like $10 to get me like 50 gold or some bullshit like that, and like they took extra days, and they were like, oh, we are still farming the gold, just bear with us, we'll have your gold for you soon. And like it took an extra week, but they sent me the amount of gold that I paid for. I didn't even pay a lot for that shit either. It was amazing. Yeah, I hear you, man. I can't watch all the people I'm subscribed to either. But like I do think that if they are fake, it's partly because of the hard work you did. Because I mean, you did work hard to like pepper it. Even if you're just casually playing a game, you got your name out there, you got your content out there. Weird shorts, that's a thing. That fucking hell, I might make shorts out of your own freaking video from the I mean, I won't actually use them, but like of that God of War thing. I mean, there's just some stuff there now. You did the Green Day stuff after God of War. That was pretty cool, the Guitar Hero or Rock Band stuff. But, like, there's some stuff that you did God of War. You did the World War II game. You spoke about, war a little bit, but then you also, like, humbled. You were humble. You said that, you're just a young man. You're not an expert on geopolitics. So that's cool, because a lot of people, they speak on shit like that, like they're freaking experts in and like they don't even like begin to act like they're self-aware, much less they're not self-aware. A lot of people are not self-aware of their own ignorance. And yeah, same here, man. I appreciate that. One hand washes the other. I don't care if I get like a lot of subs. I just I'm casually doing this, sharing some fun stuff with people, and maybe like I get better at video editing, and I could build like some kind of portfolio or something like that, and maybe it comes in handy right when I least expect it. It's good to practice communication skills. I gotta resize this window. Let's make that a little larger. Now you're blocking my ability to see Spock's message. No, I'm kidding. I can always trick it. Honestly, I'm trying to find your channel to return a subscription. Yo, so maybe I should just am I a mod on your channel, Zanzo 10? No, I'm kidding. But I'm gonna get you the link right now for Indiana Jones. So you can do it with the @ symbol, or you can use the long channel name. So I'm gonna give you the long channel name. This is Indiana Jones, the Zanzo 10. Just for reference, you don't have to go there, Spock, but I put the link for Indiana Jones's YouTube channel on Rumble. Haha, brief moments. I hear you on that. Nigel, the movie guy. I'm sure I'll meet Nigel someday if I haven't already. Captain Neckbeard was funny. One day, Captain Neckbeard shows up in the chat, and I just pull out a book about Spanish galleons. Like, oh, you're backstage. I'm sorry, Zanzo 10. There you are. I forget that it doesn't automatically let you join. And now you're in there. So now I'm gonna just juggle the panels so that you fit on screen. How you
Yeah,
doing?
don't worry, don't worry. This is I don't know how much I'm gonna last because, honest, I had a fever like 5 or 10 minutes ago, and my head is hurting, and I have a very bad cough. And today I actually lost my voice, so yeah, imagine that. I'm not really good right now, so I'm gonna try my best, but at most I think half an hour will be tops that I
Oh,
can
that's
actually
perfect.
speak to.
That
So
sounds
yeah,
feverish. That
yeah.
sounds very feverish.
No, the problem is that I had a disease like in 2016. I don't know why, that it was never healed entirely, and I lost my voice. I lost even my voice changed. My ex girlfriend actually told me that my voice changed between that time. So yeah, it was kind of weird. I went to a point that I don't want to talk a lot of because it's very long.
Yeah, I
It's a
hear you,
very long
man.
story.
I'm trying to figure out like the way I got the panel sorted. Like it's just not bad. This arrangement, right? You're in the corner of the screen. It's
Don't
pretty
worry, man.
good.
I don't
But
mind. I'm
I,
just here doing
I just
whatever.
wish like the way this thing would let me like put you in a different corner. Like I mean, it's almost perfect, but it's not bad. It's just I've never really used Restream like a lot, so I'm just kind of learning it now. But I'm glad this is the first time I've had someone on here,
Mm.
so I can actually kind of like get a knack for it. Because the way it's sorted right now, it's like I can hit the button, I can do it like that, I can do it like that. So actually, if I do it like that, then you're not blocking anything on the screen. So when I go back to the main
Yeah, but I
one,
think it takes a lot of space actually
it
because
does.
CRC.
Yeah,
Yeah, it takes a lot of
it's
space.
not terrible, but it does. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna preview it right now and see how bad. It's not terrible.
Hail Spock's Friday nights. Just because I saw it, and yes.
Yeah, we got Spock on Rumble right now. It's
Yeah.
not terrible. Although that's very weird. I got this weird video compression pattern on the screen now. Like there's like a residual pattern on top of the that is just so bloody weird. Like, man, yeah. This is why we're testing this because I need to see these weird.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Restream is doing some funny shit to the video compression right now. Like, holy cow. Okay, let's switch back to that other view. See if we can get like better video quality because like
Can you not
maybe that's.
minimize my image a little bit? It
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
let
yeah,
you
yeah.
minimize it.
Well, I can get rid of the chat image, or at least I can cycle through them and put them back and forth because that's what I usually do anyway. The
Hmm.
size is basically about right. And there we go. Did it?
No. Oh,
We
there we go.
got. Oh look, we got Spock there now. Cool. Oh yeah, yeah. He very fluey.
Yeah, this the a lot of doctors actually told me like 1 month ago, or it was I think it's already 2 months ago. I had the flu, like a flu, and they gave me some antibiotics and everything. But right now, I'm having exactly the same kind of symptoms, and I'm thinking I couldn't get it like twice in less than 2 months. This is weird. So I'm gonna tomorrow. I had to go to the doctor, so I'm gonna ask him if it could be like because between my family they actually passed this disease, so I'm probably having it right now because of that.
I got you.
But yeah, I'm gonna try to at least do a stream on Sunday so I can start doing it again because, like I said on my stream, I want to make those videos because I laugh my ass off with those movies, and I want to show it because I know for a fact that I haven't seen ever nobody actually speaking about those movies because I found it, and this is the funniest thing because I found them in Amazon Prime. I was canceling my subscription, and a friend of mine told me like, "No, don't cancel it. I'm watching this show and this show." And like four or five friends of mine, and you know how it is. Amazon Prime actually lets you share the account. It's not like Netflix,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and I actually give them the access in their TVs. So I say, okay, I'm gonna resubscribe and see what the hell they can actually offer me. And I saw this kind of, like I said, some silly stupid movies of disaster, ecological disaster. And I was like, oh, I need to see this. And honest to God, I laughed my ass off, and I want to show them because there's no way in hell that I can explain how weird these movies are. Oh, nice, Zelda, the Tears of the Kingdom.
No, this is Breath of the Wild, but I do
Ah,
have
Breath of
Tears
the
of,
Wild.
but
Oh,
I do have Tears of the Kingdom as well.
oh, I have
Um,
Breath of the Wild in physical, but I never played it. I'm like, I'm still waiting until a moment that I know for a fact that a lot of people told me, and you're probably gonna tell me the same. It's quite addictive, this game. So
I mean, it kind of is, but like, well, like let's say I bought the Nintendo Switch so I could play Metroid.
yeah, I'm the same. I'm goddamn the same. I was like, okay, you promised me a Metroid Prime 4. I want my Metroid Prime 4, and I'm still waiting. But at least I got the Metroid Dread, so I'm kind of happy. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
and
waiting for
like
that Prime
I bought it originally. I bought it for Metroid. What is that shit? Metroid
Dread.
Dread.
Yeah, it
And
was a good game, but it was not Metroid Prime.
yeah, it
Uh,
was not Metroid Prime. And I mean, I'm glad they came out with the Metroid Prime remake. It looks pretty good, you know. I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I bought it, but I don't want to play it still because I like to play. I'm a fan of Metroid Prime, and I want to play the three all in at one go if I have to play it because those are kind of like when I play the Hakusho kind of. There are three games. They have all the same story, but they actually continue. They have a continuation. So I like to play the Metroid Prime trilogy if I can. But I don't understand why they didn't make that directly. But I understand that they are trying to actually make one, two, and three until they eventually release the fourth Metroid Prime. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait until at least I have a second one. The Metroid Prime 2. Then I'm gonna buy them both.
that makes
But
sense if they ever release it. Like sometimes they do weird shit like that. Like they don't release the whole thing, and you're like, what the hell gives?
because you know how it is sometimes Nintendo, they actually like to keep you remembering the good games. You know how it is. They don't want you to actually like. For example, let's give an example simple as it is. You're playing right now, Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's a 2018 game. So they
Yes.
took them 6 years to actually, or seven, five, six. Let's just go for 5, 6 to actually release a new game. So you understand that you didn't have a lot of time because you actually had Zeldas in between. You had Zelda, how is it called? I can't remember. Link's Awakening, DX, and you actually had also a Skyward Sword HD edition. So you know had to wait a lot of time between the new Zelda, and they actually do this a lot. If you actually see the Pokemon and everything, Pokemon is anyway. Pokemon nowadays is one game a year. It actually become Call of Duty, but back in the day they were actually like release Pokemon Black, Pokemon Black 2, and then they will release a new one in a new console, and you actually had the yellow anyway. But they actually try to keep you like fans happy to have at least something to play. And that's great because for example, I'm a big fan of Metroid and Kirby. Those two are my fan. I'm a big fan. And the Kirby Forgotten Lands, I played it, I finished it, and I was kind of like, okay, I have to wait until they actually release a new one. And a friend of mine was actually telling me like, oh, they actually released a Star Allies. Oh, you mean like the original? Like, well, yeah. And I was like, this is interesting. And I was about to buy it, and then I realized, no, let's just wait until they actually release a new one. And I'm probably like 1 year from now, they're gonna release a new one. I'm knowing.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, like, right now, like, this. Do you think with the next Zelda game, they're gonna use the same freaking game engine, or you think they're gonna, like, start from
Hmm.
scratch?
I know for a fact that this is probably the most that they can actually like. Zelda is great. I know it. We all know it. Ocarina of Time is not my favorite game. I don't like Ocarina of Time. I actually had a big discussion once because to me Ocarina of Time was great game, awful ending because the final boss, it didn't touch me once. So I was kind of like disappointed that they actually spoke of Ganondorf all the entire game and he didn't even touch me once.
Oh my
And
god, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean this one. So I hear you can go straight to the end, and like from the beginning of the Breath of the Wild, you can go straight to Ganon if you want.
yes, yes, I know that. And
I just like I don't know if I would ever do that. Like I mean I don't no I couldn't. I mean you can see I got one elephant in the left side of my screen right now,
yeah,
and sacred beast wherever the heck they're listed. I think I only got one of them, and I was fighting the desert one. So it is. I mean you didn't play this yet, right? So
sorry,
did you
I
play
could.
this game yet? Did you play this game yet?
I played it on the Nintendo Wii U when I bought the Nintendo Wii U, but I never played entirely. So
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
I have a
Uh,
Nintendo Wii U. I actually lent it to my brother because he wanted to play this game, and he was like, "I want to play it on Nintendo Wii U." And I'm like, "Okay, grab play it. I don't care." And he said to me, "But weren't you about to play because Tears of the Game?" I was like, "No, I'm gonna wait because I want to know the reviews if it's a good game or not." And a lot of people that I hear from Tears of the Kingdom they tell me the same. It's a great game, but the story, yeah, the story's good. And I'm like, I'm more of a story kind of guy. I'm not a lot of how much can you build or how much can you do. I don't care. I'm like, I want the story. Is the story good? It's good. Then okay, it's okay for me. But if it is great, I'll be playing it right now. But they told me like it's good. Like that doesn't inspire confidence to actually buy it. But anyway, I had to actually buy. This month is gonna be really, really hard to actually buy a lot of things because I want to buy. A friend of mine gifted me Diablo 4, so I
ooh,
can actually yes, I'm playing it right now, so I can actually don't have to pay it. And then I'm gonna buy Final Fantasy 16 for the PlayStation 5. So this month is gonna be only that game, and it's pricey as hell here in Argentina. I'm not joking. It's pricey as hell. It's like a half of my, yeah, I think it's a half of my salary to actually buy it. It's really expensive. So yeah, I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna, how does it go? Swipe it. It's a credit card. I don't know how to say it.
yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Charge it.
Yeah, charge it. There we go. And I'm gonna play it, and then I'm gonna pay it next month because I know for a fact that that's gonna be pricey. But between this, I'm only waiting because September is my birthday, and a friend of mine told me like, you mother. Okay, you actually got all the games that you wanted. On September, they're gonna be releasing Run Factory 3 Special. Then I'm gonna buy it day one. I don't care that game. I love Rune Factory. I'm playing right now Rune Factory 4 again on my PlayStation 5
Road
because
Factory?
yes, I love Rune Factories. They're like my little things. A lot of people tell me, what is your game that you actually can relax and don't care about anything? Rune Factory, Harvest Moon, Real Fishing. Those are the three games that I actually go every time. And in some cases, Digimon World 1 for the PlayStation 1. I would love to actually do a
Fishing
stream
is
of that.
cool.
Yeah. So those are the 3 or 4 games that I actually go to relax. And Root Factory 4, I actually spent 250 hours to finish it on the Switch. And then they actually gifted it on the PlayStation Plus Premium. And I was like, don't install it. You're going to lose your time. Don't install it. I installed it in 5 seconds later. I was playing it. I'm like 100 hours on. So, and they actually are going to release Rune Factory 3 Special that I finished it on the Nintendo DS back in the day, and they say like they're gonna add new things, and I'm like, okay, you got me only with your Room Factory 3 on the Switch. I'm done. I want that game. So, and then on September they're gonna release Spider-Man 2, and that is the game that I actually finished it 11 times in my life. 11, and finish it 100%. I'm not like saying like, well, no, I should no 11 times. So between 2018 to now, it's been 11 times that I finished that game and completed it 100%, trophies included, everything. So
Huh.
when they actually said like they're gonna release Spider-Man 2, I'm like, how much money do you want? And I'm still going every day into the store. I'm not joking. Every day into the store to actually get me pre-order that game because that is the only game that I want to play for. I bought the PlayStation 5 for that game only. I'm not joking. That and Kingdom Hearts, if they actually release the Kingdom Hearts 4,
Hmm.
there's gonna be some time. But
I never played
Spider-Man,
Kingdom Hearts.
oh, a lot of people will tell you this. I'm gonna always discuss this because I want people to actually play it. But a lot of people will tell you like play the first one and then the second one and then play the third one and don't play anything more. I'm like, no.
Huh.
If you play the third one without playing all the other variations, you don't understand the physical and emotional impact that it has. This third one. So a lot of people when they actually discuss me, I'm like, did you play 358 dash 2 days? They said to me like, no, then you don't understand why Sion is there. Did you play the recoded? No, then you don't understand how they explain why he actually digitizes themselves. And they explain it on the second game. So everything is kind of connected. So that's why I love the Kingdom Hearts kind of series, because a lot of people tell you like they bullshit all the way. I'm like, I don't care. I'm loving it. I don't care if they bullshit their way. I've seen I've seen Metal Gear Solid actually bullshit their way for the fourth game, and I was like, I love it anyway. I love it anyway because I love Metal Gear. And I'm like, my favorite game of the PlayStation One. There are two actually my favorite games. First one is Metal Gear Solid. Second one is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. One of the worst stories that I ever read in my life. It has Castlevania Symphony of the Night, but it's a great game. So this is one of those kind of like I can disconnect my mind and just play the game. And
I
this is
could
what
do
I do
that.
sometimes with Kingdom Hearts, because I understand that, and I play some of the games only once, and I remember a lot of the story. The only one that I haven't played, like I think the only one that I haven't played. Oh, what the
He
hell?
drowned. The dragon caught my. Oh, he's still there. But
What can you
carry
do
on.
with that dragon? No, no, no. Sorry, sorry.
I think you shoot him with shit, and he drops these like shards.
Oh,
He
nice
drops
collectibles. Yeah, to
like I think
actually
you could use
create.
them for something, but
Yeah, well, if you like those kind of games, Rune Factory is like that. It's like you need to actually beat some of the monsters to get some kind of crafting.
my aiming is really off. But I'm just trying to like
Sorry.
no, no. It's I'm really kind of like what's the word? Foolishly going after this stupid dragon and putting resources, unnecessary resources after him. But I really want, you know, this.
Yeah, I understand it. It's like, oh, new monster. He's gonna drop anything. Does he have any kind of loot? I'm gonna kill
Yeah,
it.
I
I
think
don't
you could
care.
like he drops this like crystal thing or some bullshit. Oh,
Honest,
and I'm getting near a shrine too. Apparently,
what is that sound that is actually
that's the
telling me what?
shrine detector.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like that's also like actually kind of good that I didn't even know there was a shrine here. There's probably one in a cave. I should probably give up on this dragon.
You
But
know, I
you know,
should
like
really
so.
play this game, but I know for a fact that I'm gonna get completely hooked on this game
Well,
because
you know,
mm,
I mean, you could go back and forth between this and Road Factory, right? So you'll be addicted to two games.
yeah, that's the thing. I'm playing right now. Okay, I was gonna tell you because Diablo 4 actually took this. This is based off another one. I was playing between Diablo 3 and Rune Factory 4, and then playing Digimon Silver Sleuth Hacker's Memory, and I was going back and forth between two or three games, and then out of nowhere they decided to actually gift in the PlayStation Plus, like I said, Rune Factory, and this week they decided to actually add also the Harvest Moon, Olive of Town, Olive Town, sorry, Pioneers of Olive Town. There we go.
Interesting. I've
And
never played that one. I've heard
yeah,
of it.
it's that's the thing. They changed the name because the Harvest Moon had the Natsume, the original creators of Harvest Moon, had the original name as a trademark. So Marvelous, when they actually got the game back in the day, they actually had to change the name to Story of Seasons because they couldn't make a Harvest Moon again because of Natsume. And up to this day, I still laugh my ass off because one of the remakes that they make for Story of Seasons, sorry, like I said,
Why
I'm
is
not very
my?
well right now with my throat.
Oh, I gotta hit the freaking crystals. I think.
um, One of the games that they actually remade,
Um.
it's Harvest Moon for the PlayStation One, and remade it with you being able to actually date the same kind of sex and marry the same kind of sex. And doing that, they actually destroy one of the sweetest stories that you can have in a Harvest Moon. And I was like, okay, you actually, I'm not gonna play ever this game because you destroy one of the sweetest stories that I actually play in the Harvest Moon. And they, out of nowhere, they decided to actually gift you also the Harvest Moon original for the PlayStation One. And I was like, okay, now you got me. I'm gonna play this one.
Oh,
I'm a big fan of the all kind of retro games, and a lot of people would tell me like, "Is the nostalgia hitting you?" I'm like, no, it was the time that I spent on this game that I know the story and I love it.
Yeah, I
And
mean, yeah, I get like, like I go back to playing Super Mario recently. That's why the dude who was in the chat a little while ago,
yeah.
Indiana Jones, he's like, he did the Mario March Madness. He was big on Mario March
Oh,
Madness,
nice,
and,
nice.
and like that got me like pumped. And I was playing a lot of Mario games myself, and just like my childhood favorite, Super Mario Brothers 1 was like a staple in this house,
Yeah, yeah.
and we skipped Super Nintendo, so there's that.
Well, honest, the first game I ever played on Super Nintendo was Super Mario World. It's still the best Super Mario to me. Even better than the third one to me. The third one is good, but it's not Super Mario World. They actually have the Yoshis. I love the Yoshis.
No, that was cool.
So
I didn't truly discover Super Mario World until I got Mario Maker 2 on the Switch.
hmm, I actually have to buy Mario Maker because I don't have it, the second one. I have it for the 3DS, but it's not the same. I should buy it on the Switch. I should try to find somebody that wants to trade it just because I have that on the 3DS.
Yeah,
But
it is a good. Wait, did they have Mario Maker on 3DS?
yeah, they actually had a Mario Maker on 3DS. I don't know if it's the first one or the second one. I can't remember. Let
Is
me
it
check.
like
Let me check.
a direct port, or is it like different, like styled differently? You know what I mean? Like is it literally the same game as the one on Switch, or is it like different?
It's technically the first one, Mario Maker. Oh, I didn't know that it was this pricey. Oh, I could actually change it hand to hand for a Switch game. Holy sh!
That's kind of bizarre and interesting. Yeah, yeah. With
Yeah,
this,
it's
with
because
the 3DS, like I mean, I bought like Star Fox and one of the game, and then like I modded it, and I got like games on SD card now.
yeah, that's the thing because they actually close all the Nintendo stores. So a lot of people are actually trying to buy all original games for the 3DS physical copies. So the prices jacked up, very up, very up. My Kingdom Hearts that I pay like I'm not joking like 30, $30 when they actually released it. Nowadays is like 150. It's pricey as hell if you want to buy it. Hello, Woopa Chupa.
Yeah, what up, Whoop? It's good to see you.
Sorry, I'm kind of having a cough and a fever and everything. So yeah.
I'm playing this game for about 10, 15 more minutes, and then I'm going to bed because the sky. I did a little check in the software, in the astronomy software, and basically, like what I do is, okay, this is the current time. So if it's 4:11 right now, we go to 4:30, let's say, as an example, and you can see the sky is blue now. If you have any doubt, what I do is I go back to current time and just watch the color change. Boom, it got darker. So even like now, if I go to like let's say 4:20.
Yeah.
You can see the sky is getting lighter and lighter. So basically by 4:20, about 4:20ish, I'm gonna call it quits because I really like I don't remember sleeping last night. I told you about this morning when I listened to your stream this morning, and like after your stream, I was like I wanted to tune into Macany Drawers, but then I was like, no, I gotta go to sleep. And then I remember laying awake. I put on audiobooks a few times, so I'll put the audiobook on with a sleep timer, and then like periodically I'd wake up to like silence and I'd say, well, did I just sleep or not? And I remember a couple of dream cycles, but I don't really remember sleeping for like a significant block of time. I'm very confused. Maybe I did it and it didn't register, but maybe I got 4 hours sleep if I'm lucky. I don't even know if I got that.
Oh, I have those kind of things happen to me. I took
Yeah,
to me it
man.
was like a 6 hours kind of sleep, and it was literally 10 minutes, and I was like, oh shit, this is weird.
Oh, what? You felt like you had 6 hours, but it's
Yeah,
literally 10
yeah.
minutes?
I actually had an entire dream for an entire movie in my head, and I woke up and I was like, "Oh, damn! I should have overslept probably." And I look at the phone and I was like, "10 minutes? I only slept 10 minutes?" And I
That's
was
really
like,
cool that you remember that because like I'm actually I'm not studying dreams formally, but I was reading an audiobook about lucid dreaming, and I was sort of like noticing that when I listened to the audiobook, even without me actively employing the tricks in that book or methods, I was
"Hmm,
remembering my dreams in greater detail. And then like what was happening was I was not only remembering the dreams, but I was able to control myself in the dream. I was able to, like, instead of being like a participant, instead of being someone watching my own dream, I
hmm.
was in control of that dream. And
Oh,
it's just
yeah."
so interesting to me for some reason. It's like being in a holodeck.
Now, sometimes I can actually do that, but most of the time, when I realize it's a dream, I only
Yo, these
want to
guys are
wake up.
gangbanging me. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to like remember to switch the screen when I do that. Continue, Zen.
No, that I mostly have that. That's the weirdest thing because I mostly have
Oh,
premonition
that
dreams in
fucking
my case.
asshole. Why'd he fall down? I can't get his shit. I'm sorry.
Don't worry, don't worry. I have premonition dreams most of the time. They are like if I
Ooh.
was living a new memory that has never happened, and sometimes I can write them. Up to this day, my ex didn't believe me when I wrote that I saw Belma before Belma was even created, and I remember sending her the message because I will do that. I will go to WhatsApp and write everything that I could remember of that dream, if I could remember that dream.
You know, it's a good thing to do because like I try to basically like I'll make note of a dream or I'll like I'll do something like that, and sometimes I'll like literally record like an audio note on my phone
Mm.
or like a video note just so I got like something, because I do believe in like because like when you think you're gonna remember a dream later on in the day, you usually don't, like
No,
it
because
fades away.
it fades away because I know for a fact that most of the time your mind is still connected a little bit to the subconscious, so you can actually remember a little bit for like I think 5 or 10 minutes in my case.
I'm glad you said that, subconscious, because like that's a key word in this case, because essentially like you're interacting with your subconscious. You're getting
Hmm.
a window into your subconscious. Your subconscious, it's not exactly a separate entity, but it's another part of your mind. And what's interesting is that in the brain, like in this lucid dreaming book, there was some talk about like almost like you have NPC characters in your dreams. You have
Yeah.
like and there's like different, there's like I'm aware of like I think 3 different types of characters, and so I remember having these dreams where like I meet a chick or I meet a friend or just there's someone, dude or female or not, just like someone you feel like you've known all your life, and you wake up and you have this sense of loss. You're like, wait,
Oh, Spock
I
is in the backstage.
huh? Say
He told
again?
me that
Oh,
backstage. Spock is in the
cool.
backstage.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I did not see that. Thanks for the heads up. Welcome, Spock.
There we go. Hello, Spock.
Oh, sorry. No, you're good. I was just taking a rip. I'm
No
here.
doubt. It's good to see you, man. Yeah, but like, so like these dreams, like, yeah, so you got like NPC like characters, you got like, different types of characters in there. And, yeah, I mean, also, we got to remember Whooper, or bear in mind, at least not remember. You got to remember, that's a funny joke I just said, but he says I don't have many dreams, really. Oh, so actually, no, I believe that you don't remember your dreams, but you have them, because everyone, like, dreams are like a necessity, right? They're a necessary function of the human mind. Sort of like that fucked up Star Trek episode when nobody could get REM sleep, and they started hallucinating. If you go without sleep for like 40 hours or more, or like 30 or 40 hours or more, you will start kind of beginning to hallucinate, auditory hallucinations, basically. At least I did this once when I was like a kid. And there was a Star Trek episode about this. And apparently, if you don't sleep for like 40 days, guaranteed death or some shit like that. Like there's some weird, like I forget the exact number, but like there's a
I
thing. But
think the record was 12 days.
I mean,
12
yeah,
or 13.
I might be really off on that. I think also the thing was that you could sleep, but then you get sleep that covers some of your needs. But if you're not getting REM sleep, like it's like you can cover some of your needs, but not the other needs. So I think that the timetable might be different, but don't quote me on that. But what my point is that when I did a project in middle school, cool. Okay, we're gonna get to that in a minute. That's fascinating.
Yeah,
But
11 days, 24 minutes.
in high school, we had a psychology project where you keep a dream journal, and basically, like the teacher said, when you go to bed, tell yourself verbally, "I will remember my dreams." She's like, "It sounds stupid, but it works." And then, like, also the key was, of course, since this is a thing that you need to do this for a grade, you would make sure that you have your book and pen or pencil right next to your bed when you wake up. And so, at least for that week, you would be doing this like religiously, or at least as part of a necessity for your grades, and that's when I like retained dreams to some good extent. But the big part of it was by writing down the dream. It helped me retain it later on in the day. And then, of course, rereading the dream years later, I stumbled into the dream journal printout somewhere, which I hope I should have scanned it or set aside the document, whatever. But, like I saw some mecha, I saw a Gundam, I saw a vertical takeoff aircraft that turned into a mech. Yeah, man, that was cool. That was like doing when I first watched Gundam 0083. But 11 days, I wonder about that. Because, like, I wonder if it's like my morning this morning where I thought I was sleeping and I wasn't. And how you doing, Spock?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. I'm just listening.
Cool.
It's funny that we're talking about dreams because my buddy, he's very into lucid dreaming and he takes
Hmm.
control of his dreams very oftenly. But I've never had that luck. My dreams, excuse my French, are very retarded.
Been
No,
there. I actually had one dream that I was literally a blue dog. I was a blue dog. That's it. That was a dream.
Mine are scary but stupid. Like I'll be in a giant mall watching like some convention go down, and then boom comes a T-Rex eating everybody. I'm like, okay,
At
interesting.
least you didn't have a have
that's
how's
cool.
it called? I had a court case between me and Invisible Man. I had that one dream. So yeah, it sometimes you actually have those kinds of dreams, and it was funny because I remember that the court case was actually me trying to be the lawyer for the Invisible Man, and the Invisible Man was actually accused of robbing a mall store. So that was the entire dream. So believe me, I had dreams of those kind, and I know for a fact that a friend of mine was once telling me that one of his dreams was he was in a mall buying some milk, and the Power Rangers actually stopped by and started breakdancing, and it became a dance off. So yeah, uh,
Wow.
Well, damn, I wish most of my dreams were like that.
I robbed
uh,
a supermarket under my school last week. Apparently, there's
oh,
a supermarket attached to my school, my high school, and me and my friends were robbing the supermarket. And then I threw the groceries down the stairs, and then I was running around the high school, trying to get away from the cops. That was a
oh,
weird one. Like I said, weird dreams. You know, like as Whooper was mentioning, like sometimes the dreams are weird or sad. I have those. I have ones where I see my mom, and it's like, you know, she's been dead since 2014. So it's like it's weird because in the dream, you're like, it's not even like you think they're dead. It's like they're just there, like it's a regular day and shit. It's probably just a memory imprint, you know. But some people believe that they're actually interacting with their dead relatives, which, you know, like I'm open to the possibility, but like I'm not sold on it. Some people really put a lot of stake in it, and usually it's like astrology people. I'm a
okay.
dick.
I know for a fact that ghosts exist, so I'm not gonna ever discuss that because
Okay,
I've
that's
seen them,
fair.
and it's okay. It's okay
And
that
I'm
you don't
gonna
believe them.
keep that Ouija board in that room next to this room, and I'm never gonna
It's
open
okay.
it. I'm never gonna open that fucking
Never.
Ouija board because
As a little bit of an advice, never open a Ouija board. Ouija boards are the worst. Anyway,
I hear, is it true that you can't like throw away a Ouija board and that you have to give it to someone who's willing to accept it?
you can actually give it to somebody that is actually very religious, and they will exorcise
Okay.
it if they want. And other than that, for what I've seen, I'm not joking. A friend of mine was actually doing the I don't know how it's called in English, but that little cup game, you know, that you put a glass in your finger, everything. Yeah, 2 days after that he actually called somebody, the glass actually turned black and broke in front of all of us. So after
Weird.
that, we never actually played that game ever.
Hmm.
I've always been interested in a very Spock way to say it. I've always been interested in the science behind it.
Mm.
But besides that, I'm not a very spiritual person. I'm Christian, but I've never really dived into all of that stuff. But I know for just for safety precaution, I'm never gonna want to mess with an Ouija board. Just if the possibility
Mm.
exists of something like that happening, why would you want, the
Yeah,
chance of like some dead spirit following you all the time and never leaving you alone? That sounds annoying.
like I
Not only
got.
that, because in some cases I've seen it for, like I said, in that house I actually saw the two relatives, the grandparents, and they actually offered me to drink something. You know, amate. I don't know if you know what amate is.
Oh yeah.
And he actually asked me who I asked my friend, who are they? He said like, whom? You know, the two, your grandpa and grandma, who are they? What's their name? And I'm like, there's nobody there. And they actually this went into a discussion where he was asking me details about how they were dressed, how they look, and everything. And I was answering everything, and he started to like turn white.
There's a very
So
scary video online that you just reminded me of. It's kind of hard to be debunked, but it's a construction worker. It's all on CCTV, and
mm,
he's talking to another construction worker, and it's like a night job, and they're pushing
mm,
this giant line of wire, and this thing is like over a couple tons, so they need like two people to push it, and it's very slow. And on the
mm,
camera, you see that he's on the opposite end, where say you're pushing something, there's someone in front of it. He's just
yeah,
holding it, making sure it's steady. On the camera you literally see something pushing this giant ball of wire, and no one is there, like it's just him and nobody else. And he said I had a full length conversation with this guy. He told me his name, I can tell you the details, And it
Yeah,
turns out that guy he described was a construction worker who'd passed away like 6 years ago on the job. It's
here in
kind of
Argentina, it
creepy.
actually happened something really similar. An actual like a night shift guard for an hospital actually saw the like you see the CCTV kind of recording, and you actually see the like the automatic doors opening, something coming. Like he actually opens, the field, and he actually like tells somebody to enter. He pushes the button for the elevator. The elevator dings, actually opens. He something enters, and he actually goes to the fourth floor, and everything like like in the CCTV you don't see anyone, like anyone, nothing. But the guy is actually speaking like for his own records and everything for an old lady that she said her name and everything, and she wanted to go to the fourth floor, and she was literally dying at that moment. That woman, that old lady on the fourth floor.
That's very strange. Yeah.
Yeah, and they actually
I don't
made
know, man.
it's on the news and everything
I
because
can't say I really don't believe in ghosts, and I can't say I do. I just know that there's some kind of fuckety science out there that we don't even know how to explain.
Mm-hmm.
My sisters always theorize that what we hear as spirits could just be residual effects from fucking traumatic events that have happened in the past that always linger, like someone getting murdered, like that, all that screaming and whatever is still going to be lingering in the hallways as like a residual effect of science that we can never describe. It's something we still have to study. It's interesting, but at the same time, I don't know if it can be fully explained away as science either. It's like
we
one
couldn't
of
never
those.
explain it because it could actually be also a connection to a multiverse that we don't have
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
explanation at all. So there's all speculations. But
Metaphysics.
honest, I've lived it, so I know for a fact that it can happen. And up to this day, I will never understand how it happened to me. Because honest to God, this was a weird thing. When I was talking to him, he will not believe me that I could describe their grandparents entirely without even having seen them at all. So that was the weirdest thing, and it will be impossible. But I don't know if there was like a memory or something. I don't know. Perhaps it could be like my brain got a brain wave of an old time. They were actually speaking to somebody else. We don't know. We don't know. And that's the greatest thing in some point because honest to God, I don't want to know sometimes. I think that kind of things will break you inside because you will know things that you shouldn't know. A friend of mine once said to me that ignorance is bliss, and sometimes I believe it because after you have been like living for more than 30 years, you start to understand that ignorance is bliss sometimes. Because the more information you have in your mind, the more you can actually guess what is going to happen, and it's worse. And in this case, if I had the information to know that there's an afterlife, and you have to fight to actually get to, I'll be like, I'm done. I'm fucking done. How do I get out of this? I'll be like, what do you need me to do? And they say to me
I
like,
did it.
jump for a 10th floor. I'm done. I'm doing that. I don't
I
care
got the
anymore.
horse to go on the fucking boat.
I
Sorry.
know
oh
that is kind
nice.
of a
But that is fascinating
hard
shit
kind of
you guys are
explanation, but
talking about.
sorry.
No, it's super fascinating shit you guys are talking about. And I just want to allow Whooper to chime in a little bit because he's been here, and he said you can't, say experience supernatural stuff, but, he's heard priests talk about exorcisms. And yeah, the Catholic Church seems to take that stuff kind of seriously. Now, sometimes, like that story from the movie, that girl might have been having a seizure, it might have been like, one of those misidentified shits. But other than that, we, like you guys talking about the metaphysical, basically, at least that's what I would call it. And maybe it's better that we leave some of that untouched, Now, you
Mm.
ever walk in an abandoned sanitarium at nighttime with no flashlight?
I did actually go to
Was
a
I
friend's
supposed
house.
to? That's kind of scary.
I
I
never
mean, I
did
did
that,
that
but I did
once.
went to a house of a friend that it was actually in the middle of like a big field.
I'm just
And
messing with you.
honest to God, up to this day, I still remember seeing a cow of like it was kind of weird. It was like a cow that was watching us with red eyes, but I don't know if it was real or not up to this day. So, but other than that, no, never went. I don't even. The only time that I went in the middle of the night to a hospital was like 10 years ago. No, I didn't go to a sanitarium.
Interesting.
But
Now,
yeah, I seen some like one of the weirdest thing is like here in Argentina, they had an old sanitarium that they actually closed. The sanitarium, sorry. that they actually closed, and it was used for a movie, a Will Smith movie, and they actually went and I think there was some kind of weird thing. I don't know if it was in the news or not, but here they explain it in the entertainment and everything that he actually hears some kind of weird things in there. But I don't know. That could be actually a promotion for the movie.
Interesting. Yep. Okay. Yeah. That's sometimes they do shit like that too. Like when
Mm.
they had the fake Independence Day massacre, or even like that Orson Welles thing. I believe that the Orson Welles War of the Worlds thing was not as much of a panic as people make it out to be. Like I think it was more like people were convinced there was a panic the day after the panic didn't happen. Oh. Oh.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Okay. Let's load that back. I don't want to hurt Horsey.
Oh shit!
I didn't think that would work.
He fell in the Easternville Nebula.
That's the thing that can happen. That's why there's like a person who resurrects horses in this game when you kill them through some cruel shit like that. And I've never done that before. Like this is the most I've ever like done anything to a horse. Is my horse still here?
Oh, I kill so many horses in Red Dead Redemption Online because I'm such a moron for actually use. But they actually let you revive it as long as you actually can get to him. So I will always revive him. And sometimes it was funny because I was playing with like 5 or 6 friends, and they will tell me like, as Sansulta, he has a lot of horse revivals because I was always like 10 or 20 just in case, and I will revive all the horses because I don't like to actually kill them.
Yeah, me. Yeah, especially like I would feel terrible. I just did feel terrible, but it's okay. I moved him to a safe part of the boat, and I'm gonna use my sword at a safe angle.
It's okay. He should have learned how to swim anyways.
Yeah, and I don't think I have a Karakato leaf anyway. So it's like I don't think I could do anything here, but oh well. I'll play with this tomorrow probably. I just wanted to see like what my options. Yeah, I don't have a leaf, right? Because it's gonna take up a weapon slot. That's the problem with the stupid leaf.
Hmm. Yeah, the one that actually lets you move the boat. So
But yeah, so Whooper brought up something now. Like when mothers sometimes like they feel something is going on with their kid. Like when they feel something is wrong with their kids at a distance, and they're not with the kids, but they just know something is wrong, and as it turns out, something is going on that's bad, and they find out afterwards. So, it kind of reminded me of the book I read where there was some dream telepathy thing going on. Any thoughts on that? Like connections between people when they're not in the same place?
for what I know, there's a lot of people that actually had that. But in my case, I know for a fact that sometimes my ex could actually know what I was doing. I don't know why. She will guess out of nowhere, like I was not doing normal things. Uh, but other than that, I don't think that. Like, what do you mean with that connection? Like, they
Well, in my
can.
case, I'm thinking more like when people like interact with each other in a dream, and then in real life they accidentally realize, oh shit, we really had a moment in a dream that we both remember
You
that
guys were
we
talking to
otherwise
each other.
yeah.
I
Now,
never
if-
I
had
don't
that,
know.
so I have
I
no idea.
think I can't really disprove that, but I've always believed that down the road of evolution, we might develop that form of communication of telepathy. It seems very possible because, I mean, hell, we're not using every day our full capacity of our brain. So who's to say what could happen in the next million years to our brain too? Like
Mhm.
I remember that I'm a big alien guy, and I remember that the theory about the gray aliens was that their heads were so big and their mouths were so small, all just down the lines of evolution. Is just they don't use their mouths to talk anymore. It's just they use their brains.
Well,
It's like
number
maybe that.
one, you're a big alien guy because you're literally Spock. You are an alien. No, jokes aside. But no, it's actually very interesting you bring that up. Is it true? Like, it's like muscular atrophy, right? Like the mouth
Yeah.
atrophied, and yeah,
Whatever
like
you use more eventually becomes the dominant part of your body, like our brains. We over time when we had evolution from our original hominid form, we had smaller heads, bigger bodies, and then that eventually changed. We started to use our heads more. We started to coordinate. We started to form armies. All of our I don't know the whole scientific thing behind it, but I know generally that's why our heads have become bigger, is because we're using that now as a part of our normal function to live.
hmm
But that could definitely change as well. Like, what would humans look like in the next couple 100,000 years? They could probably, be telepathic, and I feel like dreams are a very sneak preview into that form of
Mm-hmm.
our, existence. That maybe one of these days we'll be able to communicate with each other more easily without having the dream.
That
It's
is,
very possible.
I can see that. That's
That,
mhm.
I will have to say that will be awful because sometimes I go out of the like you know
I
me,
agree.
my streams.
I don't want
I go
everyone in my head.
yeah.
Well,
I'll be like, oh god damn it, why am I listening
that's
about
why we don't have the ability yet because we know we
But you
can't
never
handle
know.
it
It
yet.
could be like communication, like how we do now with our voices. You're in a room full of people. There's thousands of people talking, and you tune into one of those conversations. That one is going to be the one that stands out to you the most. It's like a filter. So maybe like we'll have the same thing for telepathy, where we only want to hear the things we want to hear. Like we don't have like if we walk by a person, we're not generally just going to hear the thoughts going on in his head. It's only if we like fixate on it and focus. But
yeah,
if
I can
we're,
understand it.
I don't know. I think it's a stretch, but at the same time, it's very plausible, I guess, in the terms of how evolution has already progressed, because we've changed a lot since our original form.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of people who will have you believe we weren't made here originally. We were made from another planet, or we came from an asteroid. I don't believe that.
I,
Technically, it could happen that all life actually came from another planet, and we don't know.
well, yeah, I don't think but it's guaranteed that
Like
we
it
and
could be
asteroid came from somewhere.
like something so
Like
simple
life in
as
general, it could be.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
in
In
general,
general,
like out of nowhere, a meteorite actually hit the Earth, killed the dinosaurs,
Yeah.
but bring us. So we don't know
Bring
that.
us.
I
No,
don't
it's
buy it.
it's just because
Mhm.
people say that we look like we don't look like the other native wildlife here. Why are we stronger? Why are we not stronger? Why are we smarter and more coordinated than everything else on the planet? Like that was one of their arguments, is that we're
Sorry, but
just
I
too
gotta
alien.
I will always digress about that kind of
Yeah,
kind of
me
thing
too.
because, honest to God, there's a mushroom that can kill us in 30 seconds if we actually fall. I'm
Mhm.
like,
No,
thank you
I
much,
feel like
Martin.
every day I find a reason that we're definitely from here. Like we're not just I wasn't speaking in life in general, but just like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
humanoids, we're definitely from here. It's obvious. I wouldn't think that. So
Okay, I have to ask a
you never
question
know.
because that I found out this of like 2 or 3 weeks ago that I didn't know.
Hmm.
When you close your eyes, when you see completely black, when you close your eyes, do you see anything at all or just black? Because I found out that I actually am one of the 3%, I think it is, that they actually have images in their mind and they actually have like a static and some kind of wiggly things when they close their eyes. And there's some people that they actually don't have anything. Like they close their eyes and it's blackness, nothing at all. And there's kind of like a study that found out that most of the people that can see those kind of things are only at 3% of the people. Like they can change their images when they close their eyes. I didn't know about this. I was like, "Are you for real?" And I was like, "Yeah, there's only 3% in the humankind that actually can do that." I didn't know about that, and it's something
Well,
connected
we're all
about.
different. We're all different in our own ways, and we're all expanding beyond within our brain in our own ways. So, we're probably accessing parts that other people haven't accessed. And that's what people label as imagination. People have better imagination than others, and
Mm,
imagination is just another word for some fucking thing in our brain that we can't describe. So we're just gonna call it imagination instead. But
mm.
it's really just like you said. When you close your eyes, are you thinking of anything, or are you just taking everything literal and you just see your black eyelids? Like for me, I'm like you. I see memories, I see images of things I'm thinking about. So
I
Mhm.
I'd
see
probably be
both.
with you in that. Yeah, or
Yes,
both.
I
there's
like.
some
I mean,
people.
I see what's behind my eyelids if there's light coming through a little bit, but like, I definitely like can see memories in my head. It's just like it's very weird. It's almost like when you're using that like fade effect in a camcorder and it's like superimposed. Like I sort of like see it in passing, and I don't know. It's like if I fixate on it too much, I can't explain it.
Yeah, I know for a fact also that some studies actually describe it that some people can only like imagine themselves in sound, others in image, others in both, some in black and white, some in color. It's like in my case, I most of the time when I have a memory, I see it in blue, in a blue hue, something like that. And when I asked some friend of mine, he was actually seeing it and like in black and white when they actually had to remember something, and it was mostly like images. The sound it was not like coming, only conversation that he actually had. So I was kind of interested about all that, and I found out that about the 3%. You know that the only 3% of the human population can close their eyes and see something. Some people close their eyes and they will see like black, and after they actually imagine something, they start thinking about something. But if they close their eyes and they don't think about anything at all, it's like they don't see anything. They just see
It's pretty
black.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of weird because I found out that there's like your mind actually when they show you images, it can come in any kind of color. Some people think in black and white. Some people call it like see it in sepia. Some people see it in like blue hue
Ooh,
in my case. Some people
it's
say it
funny.
like in full color. Like it's
You mentioned that like I can remember things in color, but when I'm reading a book, sometimes it's more like a cartoon than it is like live action. And lately, I've been trying to make a habit of like envisioning shit more
yeah.
as live action. I'm working on it. I'm getting there. You know, it's just something that I noticed that was like I didn't know I was doing, but I was kind of doing. You know.
In my case, most of the time, since I read the books that are actually already a movie or at least something kind of,
Oh yeah, that
I
will
have the
usually
opportunity to
affect.
actually remember the characters and I'm done. I'm like, I love this. But in most cases, for example, one of the things that I can do is like if I see a show that I actually like the voice the actor and they change it, I can actually remember the original voice actor. I can, my mind actually can break it down and make it sound like it was the original. I never understood how can I do that, but I can do that.
I could picture
Uh,
that. Yeah, it's a
yeah,
little yeah.
because if, for example, in The Simpsons, in the Latin American voices, they changed it by after the 13th season. And sometimes when I remember like a scene from a new season, I actually
Hmm.
change it to the original voice because the new one is awful. So
Oh my god, yeah, it could be brutal. That's like why like I can't watch. I can't. I have a hard time watching Neon Genesis Evangelion from Netflix. I mean, I don't need to. I have it, the
oh
original,
yeah,
and also I have a hard time watching like I used to have a hard time watching the original Gundam dub on Cartoon Network, but
yeah,
there is a dub out there that like where like the guy who does the zombie dad does a really good job when he's grilling his son. He's basically comparing his son to Adolf Hitler, and
yeah.
it's like you know you're fucked up when your dad compares you to Hitler,
Mm.
and like he does a really good job like in that particular dub of like conveying it possibly better than the dub, but a lot of times yeah that can be tricky for my brain to like do, or like I can't watch well I'm gonna do it soon, but like I put off for a while watching the last I think it's season 9 or something of Family Matters.
Oh
Basically Harriet Winslow, the mom, was replaced with a different actress in the final season. So literally, like I'm sitting there on TGIF because now Channel 7 ABC in New York would
mm,
have a spot called TGIF. Thank God it's Friday, and
mm.
the fucking new season premiere of Family Matters comes on. And there's a different woman in the kitchen, and then someone walks in and goes, "Hey, good morning, Harriet." He's like, "Oh, good morning." I'm like, "What do you mean this bitch ain't Harriet?" And basically, like, I couldn't really follow it after that, so I didn't really like stick to it. But like, I know I want to check it out because I hear Urkel went to space, and I want to see it.
Sudden cast changes are
Very
never
jarring.
Yeah, I remember
welcomed, really.
still the actual cast change of Prince of Bel Air. It was so weird.
Who did they
Uh,
change?
the mother, the actual well,
Oh,
the auntie will be the aunt of
yeah, yeah, I
of
got you.
Will Smith. Between season 2 or 3, I can't remember. But
'Cause I
they
think
changed it out of nowhere. It was like they actually made a joke out of it. They say like, "You don't look like you don't look like man," and they say like, "Really?"
that's made funny though. But he's like, yeah, he's like also in Family Matters, they had a daughter named Judy, a
Mm,
middle daughter, and one day like she goes to her room and she never comes
Hmm.
back. But what I want to touch on was shit. My brain got sidetracked, but
mm.
the fucking people. You ever hear about the people who have no internal dialogue?
Yeah, I heard about that. That is something else that they actually discuss. There's a lot of people that don't have internet dialogue. Like their minds don't think about it at all. In my case, I have a lot of them.
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of internal dialogue too. Like when I thought about that, I said like it's hard to imagine. Like I could talk to myself, and I sometimes verbally talk to myself. But hypothetically, if I had to mute, I certainly can still talk to myself. You know, in my head, I don't need to like use my vocal cords to do that.
Yeah, funny is funny because some people told me that when they actually pronounce in the R word, the R, they actually
Mm-hmm.
have to do it with their tongues as they think it. And I'm like, I don't need to do that. Why? And there's some people here in Argentina they actually do it. I didn't know about that.
Hmm.
And like I said, that I should really find that information because it was so fun to actually read about the machinations of the mind, and one of the studies that actually made me laugh my ass off was that and they gave a button that actually gives them pleasure, sexual pleasure, and the monkey actually killed himself.
Wait, what? Like, so it had a
Like there,
button?
there was a button connected to their brain, and if he pressed that button, they will give him sexual pleasure.
Oh, but he
So
did it
the
so many
monkey,
times.
the monkey actually pressed it so many times that he killed himself.
Got you. That makes sense. I can picture that. Oh, yeah. That because the brain is not meant for that. Like
Yeah,
it's like it would get away with it, but the brain is not really like that. That reward system, is definitely like not designed for that.
and it was funny because they actually saw it as a joke, like 3 or 4 weeks after seeing that in Love Potion number 9. And I was like, "Oh, are you shit?" That was true. So they actually like did that, and I found it even funnier because they actually used it as a joke, and I'm like, "No, that was for real." But yeah, sometimes it's even funnier when you think about the kind of things that they did to monkeys, poor guys.
Yo, yeah. I mean, like, look, I think like it's interesting. I think more monkeys went to space at one
Yeah.
point in time than humans, which is kind of cool in a way. But like they wanted to basically make sure that monkey they didn't actually know how to pilot the ship. They just
Mm.
wanted to make sure that the monkey could hit a button while in orbit because they didn't know what would happen. They didn't know if you got into orbit, if like your brain would seize up and your electrical activity would fail, and you would just
Mm.
like be confused. So they were like, okay, at this point in the mission, when we send you a radio signal, you press this lever, and the monkey pulled the lever, and they said, good, the monkey can pull lever. Monkey came back alive. We can send man.
Mm.
The Russians just sent some turtles up.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, they sent some Russian tortoise. They sent, well, I'm sorry, they sent the Russian tortoises up. Then they sent the dog up. But with the
Yeah.
dog, they just video filmed the dog. They didn't. I don't think they brought most of the dogs back. I think most of the time
No, they they
they
never
just
bring back.
they had them get cooked because like the vehicle wasn't really fully equipped for life support. So it's just like, okay, when the thing gets too hot, you die. You know, and it was a homeless dog, so it was like kind of like it got an opportunity to shine. So there's that. Oh, those guys freak me the fuck out. Those motherfuckers remind me of ghosts.
But yeah, we all know that in the advancement of medicine and everything, there was a joke that a friend of mine will actually say a lot of times that in order to advance science, science has to become you. So yeah, and he studied what was his sister was studying medicine and everything. And when they told like they bring books and everything about the experiments and everything, you will read some kind of thing that was like, oh shit, they actually did this, and yeah. But what can you do if the person is almost about to die? They will try everything to actually save them. So yeah,
Yup.
you don't discuss it when you're about to die. You just give it like, okay, try it. I don't care. Yeah.
That's true. People are willing to do more, stuff like that.
Mm. So yeah, in that kind of regard, I kind of understand why they actually did some of those experiments. But then you find out a lot of authors, and yeah, we don't have to go there because we know what happens when they go there. But yeah, no, I don't know. You know how it is. In the advancements of space, they were trying everything that they could, and in regards of what they could do up to this day, I don't know. It's like they tried their best. To me, this is my opinion. You don't have to believe it, and I will always say the same. To me, in 1969, they never got to the moon. They probably did it like 5, 6 years after, but 1969, I don't
I
believe
don't
it.
know. I mean, like
In my case,
I think it's very well documented that they went to the moon, but where I still think that I can't prove to anybody that that American astronauts did it, because like whereas I can definitely guarantee you that the Earth is round, and I can do that because
Yeah, I understand everything. Like I said, I don't believe in that year. It could be like 2 or 3 years after, but I don't believe it in that year. I don't believe it
I mean, there's
because I'm like,
definitely there's motive for that to not happen, but I just think like the Russians would go out of their way to kind of like prove we didn't do it, But once again, like I said, like I hate when people like talk to somebody in this conversation. Well, like I remember I was at a barbecue, and what the person did was a friend, or actually he's a Bernie Sanders supporter. He pulls up a picture of the lunar lander from the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, which is like a satellite that takes pictures of the lunar surface. But all you can see in the picture is a reflective thing that is supposed to be metal, and a shadow representing the flagpole. And if I was gonna, like, let's say, try to convince you that particular landing site was the Apollo landing site from Apollo 11 that was of that specific date that is reported or purported, how am I really expected to sway your opinion? Like, like by showing you this blurry image, like it's like fucking like absurd. So it's like I'm not, but still, I mean, maybe it's not implausible. I'm not gonna say that it's implausible, Zanzotan, because there were a lot of challenges getting those engines to work.
I mean, in my case, what I think is that back in 1969, they didn't did it. Like they actually planned everything, and everything was like okay. But then, like, let's give it 5 years after they actually did it, and then they changed everything to mimetize everything. And we don't have any kind of like, there's no records like they couldn't be modified because we have seen it. Like, remember Chernobyl? Remember how much they actually changed everything? So I'll be like, how it would be hard to actually do it in America? Because back in that day, there was not a lot of information like in 1969. There was not like a high-speed highway. Everything was connected. No, it was up to this day. I still remember that
Well,
like
also
my
for
family
that to happen though, they have to fake the actual launch, because when you launch a Saturn V rocket, you have witnesses to that. But of course, the missions before Apollo 11 were dry runs, like orbiting the moon but not landing on it. So hypothetically, Apollo 11 could have been another dry run mission where they simulated landing, but the camera evidence was pretty, convincing to me, like the, film and all of that, because a lot of the reasons people give for like why the camera evidence wasn't convincing to them usually fall flat once you, know how to operate a film camera, basically. But it's not, it's not implausible.
Like
just
like I said, it's like the year. Perhaps they could have actually, they actually made it because we have proof that they actually landed in the moon. I'm not gonna discuss that, but I don't believe the year. Like, it could be like 2 years after, 3. I don't care. Like, it could be like it wasn't Apollo 11, it was Apollo 12. I don't know.
Are you married to this? Are you married to this theory? Like, if what would it take, hypothetically, if to like, if you like to convince you otherwise? Like, not that I could do it
completely. I don't believe it that it was completely analog. I don't believe it. Like there will be no. If they could actually make it in 1969 completely analog, why they still fail nowadays? Like, if it is completely advanced and everything, they shouldn't fail like that. And we have seen projects like 10 or 20 years after they blow up before before even getting up. They actually, the Columbus one was actually.
Columbia was landing, and even like Apollo 13 was interesting, for example, because like that was one where like they wanted to land and they couldn't land because like they basically were lucky to get home with their skin on their heads. And Columbia, what was interesting about Columbia, fucked up about Columbia, that pisses me off about Columbia, was like they had a hint, like there was like a female NASA administrator lady who was sort of like spearheading that project, and basically what happened was like one of the engineers looks at the engineering footage and says, hey, look, this foam slammed into the front of the wing. It's made out of this weird carbon called reinforced carbon, and it's basically like carbon fiber, but it's the leading edge of the wing. And so they was like looking at the way the foam from the installation impacted that wing, and they said that could have cracked it. But they decided to not tell the astronauts in orbit because they were like, oh, it'd be too expensive to do anything anyway. And like they made this like decision that we're just gonna roll the dice and see how it goes. And it was terrible because like when you go on Quora and you type, like, you look up a question, someone asks like, why couldn't they mount the rescue? And some of these questions that people ask are a little naive, but it's like they're not unreasonable questions. And the responses piss me off because it's like they're just terrible excuses. Like, okay, yes, they couldn't rendezvous with the space station during the Columbia mission because they were on a different orbital declination, they call it. But, it's like they could have, went to the rescue, said, hey, look, we'll pay you.
Can you actually, we don't care about, everything. We just want them back,
Yeah, they just needed to send a rendezvous a rocket to like basically like conduct a landing because the orbiter was no longer safe for landing. But even then, they could have done a spacewalk, and then people will be like, "Oh, well, they couldn't do a spacewalk because they couldn't see the bottom of the rocket." Because a lot of people would think that it was the tiles on the thermal tiles that were what caused that crash, but it wasn't. It was the well, it was in a sense that if you damage the leading edge of the wing on your plane. And then the fucking hot air is going because basically when the Columbia was landing, the first thing that happened was they got a tire blowout on the right side, and that tire is inside the wing. So it's like that's a big red flag because if you got a blown out tire inside the wing and your temperature sensors are going out like the sensors were flicking out one by one, and then by the time they lost communication. Right around that time they were losing electrical systems on the thing. So we have a pretty good idea that like after the radio went out. The people were sitting inside this vehicle, like having a very rough ride, and just hoping that the thing gets down to a low enough altitude that they could bail out because they couldn't bail out at that altitude. They get ripped in half, and like that was just like a very like dreary or dread whatever the image is in the head. But getting back to like the other part, now people would say they think it's the tires, but it's like no. When you rip a hole in the front of the wing in the leading edge and hot air comes in and it blows out the tire, that hot air melts the aluminum from the inside. And then, yeah, the tiles start to come off like a zipper, like, and it's like, so yes, the tiles did fail, but only after, heat got in because there was a hole in the front of the fucking wing, And so, actually, like, people say they couldn't do a spacewalk on the opposite side of the craft, but it's like, well, they didn't need to. They just needed to do a spacewalk on the front of the wing. In fact, all they needed to do was go in the cargo bay.
Your image has actually frozen in your camera.
Oh, is it back yet?
There we go.
Oh, yeah, no, my internet went in and out for a second. I don't know if the audio cut out, but...
No, the audio no.
All they had to do is have a guy sit in the cargo bay and look out, like, at the wing, basically, with a telephoto lens or something, or whatever camera they use. And I remember afterwards, every time when they started flying the shuttle again, every time it docked with the space station, they would use SLR cameras pointing out the window, or not out the window, but through the window. You can't point them out the window. And they would take, like, these high-resolution pictures that they would send back down to the engineers, and I'm just like... They're looking at the towers, but the problem wasn't the towers in the first place. It was the fucking leading edge of the wing, But it was like so much misdirection in that incident, and sometimes I almost wonder if it was an accident. But that one, I'm just saying that it's well documented. I mean, it's very well detailed. There's a lot of people who misunderstand what actually happened. Like people who are self-proclaimed experts, like misunderstand what happened. Maybe that's propaganda at work there. Now the other one was Challenger. Challenger was fucking weird because like there were engineers from the booster rocket company. The solid rocket boosters are sort of like those gunpowder rockets that you use on the 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
And they just add a little more kick to get the thing off the ground, and they jettison them up at altitude. So basically it was like unusually cold in Florida. It was a cold winter in Florida that year, and it was known that the gaskets would shrink, the O-rings would shrink, and that fire would come out the side of the booster, and it did. And then like a minute after launching or 2 minutes after launching, you see fire coming out at the side of the booster, and it burns a hole in the giant hydrogen tank.
Oh.
And, big surprise what happened there, And once again, like, it wasn't like the crazy thing, the sad thing about those incidents was like, it was known something was happening before it happened. Like, it was insane, and they decided that they were going to roll the dice because of some budgetary constraint, because at the time the Air Force was giving money to NASA to support their budget if they launched satellites. So basically they were trying to like roll the dice because they wanted to keep getting that Air Force budget, adjustment basically.
Welcome to Chernobyl. The same happened because of that. They
now that being said, though, you mentioned the failed missions, though, but recently the Japanese went to land a fucking unmanned probe on the moon, and they fucked up with the software, and
I remember.
Went in for a hard landing. So
I remember also the first rover that they actually calculated, like that joke. I will always remember it on Robin Williams. Then they calculate everything in feet, and like in meters, and they use it in feet.
Yep, that was the Mars rover that had the lander in particular. Yep, and Mars is interesting because like Mars is completely different than the moon, but the big problem with Mars compared to Earth's atmosphere is you have a thinner atmosphere, so you don't have as much drag to slow you down coming down, and so like basically like they had to figure out like new parachute designs that don't get torn in half when coming down and shit like that. But of course, people sometimes have interesting arguments about like the photographs coming from the surface of Mars, and although it takes a lot to persuade me, You know, there's room for that argument because you know there are some interesting like similarities to like I think what was it, King Prince William Island or some shit. I'm not sold on that theory, but I can see where people can you know like draw that you know comparison. But you know, it's all interesting shit. Anything
Yeah,
else you want to add?
I'm not gonna discuss that they could actually do it right now because there's some kind of way to actually do it eventually. But like I said, it's 1969. I'm kind of shocked that they could do it back in that day. And nowadays they actually have to better calculations, better people, better more money, everything like, and they cannot do it again. It's like why?
Well, they
Yeah,
could. It's just that we don't have the balls anymore. And that I can
yeah,
believe, you know, like I can believe that because like value of life back then or our willingness to like, you know, risk life back then was higher and people weren't a bunch of pussies back then. So they'll get in the rocket, they won't whine, they won't be like but although interestingly, there was like, you know, some weird shit. Like some people think that Apollo 1 was a test mission where they were literally just testing the vehicle on the launch pad. I don't even think they were planning on launching the rocket. And essentially, like, the inside that capsule, it's 100% oxygen. And
mm,
if you have a spark in there, even steel will combust. Steel will actually burn, like, almost like firewood would burn.
yeah,
And the guys were stuck because they couldn't open the door from the inside at the time. And this was like a mission where before that happened, like they were having radio issues, and you know a lot of flat Earth people and you know people who like you know make the moon argument say like you know argue that they couldn't communicate between two buildings, so how they supposed to communicate on the moon? The astronaut literally said that, but I would argue that they're not connected to the same satellite system. They're not even connected to the satellite system at that point to communicate. So I do find that plausible. But where I found room for conspiracy was I remember Gus Grissom was that one of the astronauts on that mission. I think he was the main guy or the head commander, and he was known for this controversy during the Kennedy administration where he was landing in what they call, I think it was either Gemini or Mercury capsule, which is just a name. It doesn't go to the planet Mercury. It's just a, you know,
mm,
orbiting capsule when we were trying to one up the Ruskies. And when it hit the water, that he was supposed to wait for a helicopter to pick him up, but the hatch got blown. The explosive bolts on the hatch blew, and he claimed he never blew the explosive bolts, which it turned out he didn't. But there was like a lot of like he said, she said, and they were like really like trying to like pin it on him because nobody wanted to make the engineers take the blame or the administrators take the blame. And he was like,
mm,
"No, man, I didn't hit that fucking button." And the reason was that they couldn't retrieve the capsule to study it because it got waterlogged and it was too heavy for the helicopter to lift out. You know, like the engine was, the
yeah, yeah,
transmission in the engine was failing, like metal filings in the engine and oil light was going off. But
yeah.
people think he was murdered for Apollo 1, but not so much people. Let me rephrase it. His son, Gus Grissom's son, or Virgil Grissom's son, I think his name is Virgil Grissom, the guy, but his nickname was Gus. And there's a starship in Star Trek 3, which gets blown up by Klingons, a science ship that gets blown up by Klingons in Star Trek 3 called USS Grissom. But anyway, his own son, you could look up videos of him or news videos where he seems to think that his dad was murdered.
It could be. We
Yeah,
don't
I don't
know.
know. I have no idea. I just thought it was kind of like, you know, just, you
Let's
know,
be
kind of like
honest.
throwing random intrigue in there.
If you're coming back from a special kind of, I would always say the same. You know how it is funny that sometimes they make that kind of joke. But should we tell them that all the monkeys come as super intelligent ones that come from space? No, we should not. And they show the monkey like in a suit in The Simpsons. I will always remember that. Like it's a funny joke, but we don't know what happens in space. We don't know if they actually something happens. Like we cannot calculate, and they actually cut everything, and we don't know it. So when you think about it, how many things they can keep hidden. Sorry, that my English is broken as hell. They keep hidden. How can they not hit something like a malfunction in a rocket ship that was back in like 1960 or
Hmm.
90? Yeah, let's just
Well,
call it
yeah,
the 60s.
the Soviets certainly have like, you know, like we have like Italian amateur radio people picked up radio transmissions of like what sound like cosmonauts, you know, in the middle of crashing basically.
Mm,
And those, you know, of course, were never openly reported. And the Russians, of course, they covered up Chernobyl. The only reason Chernobyl came out was because like some
yeah,
European
there
country
was
detected the radiation. Like if nobody detected radiation, they probably would have kept that under wraps for even longer.
not even longer. They will never have like
Mhm.
they will have
Correct.
kept it on the wraps for the eternity, and the USSR will still be in power. So yeah, nothing
Well,
that
yeah.
not that it changed too much, but anyway.
Well, the cleanup operation, yeah, that was impossible to ignore, and that definitely was apparently one. Well, I should say, seemed to be one of the main things that like contributed to like like the insolvency of the USSR. You know, them being
Yeah.
unable to maintain that type of empire, or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, I'm about to wrap it up. So anything either of you guys want to add before I wrap it up?
Yeah, one of the things that I love to actually come to your streams is that we actually it's like my streams. We start talking about something and we like go outside the box a lot, and I love it because I remember actually coming with you to one of your streams. You started talking about the stars and everything, and then we went like into the entire telescope kind of imaginary and the actual constellations and the changes of time and everything. So it's the same. That's what I love about these kinds of streams because we go like we start with one thing and we go to so many topics that we don't understand how we get to there. And I love
Yo,
that.
word, we do go some rabbit holes, and I wish I covered time dilation. No, I'm kidding, but I'm gonna listen to an audio book that involves time dilation. Actually, I'm gonna listen to an audio book that involves a talking dog that is possessed by a freaking guy from Babylon, from
Oh.
ancient Babylon, and it's like about a wizard guy, but he's sort of like was a wizard who was adopted, and his like stepmother raised him for years, but they were always on the run because apparently if the government found him, they'd either have him killed or have him locked up because they don't want another country getting someone with his powers. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm gonna read one of those books, but anyway, with that, I better get my ass to bed because if I don't fall asleep now, I'm gonna have
It
the
really
same
reaches
problem.
daytime fast where you're at, huh?
Yeah, dude, like it's fucking like light. You can see you saw the camera.
It's like
just
5
now.
a.m. for you, but it looks like 12.
Yeah,
Yo,
but that's
well,
because
also-
it's
12 p.m. or
summer
something.
right now. So yeah,
Well,
here in Argentina it's
also-
actually all dark. So yeah.
The camera is lying a little bit. If we, if we go back to the camera real quick, the camera this is like artificially illuminated. Like it's pretty dim outside. I don't even know how to adjust the exposure on this
It
camera,
looks
but
really like almost afternoon over there.
yeah, this is like way brighter than it should be. Like I don't know really like I got a lot of configuration on this camera to
When do you
do,
guys
but
get the longest nights? Winter?
definitely
Yeah.
winter, anyone in
Perfect
now,
time for stargazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So in the obviously the Christmas or the solstice, I think it's like the longest night, and basically between like the middle between June 24th, I think it is, or around June, the summer solstice, the days start to get shorter or some shit like that, but they're still pretty long, right? It's the summertime, but by the time you're getting to September, you start feeling the days getting shorter, and then by September they're at their shortest.
Yeah, we'll always find it funny
December,
because I think in Spanish the solstice is called equinoccio. Let me just check it up because I can remember.
Ignacio. It sounds like an Italian guy's name.
Give me a
Like,
second. I want to
I knew a
check
guy
that
named
out.
Ignacio.
Solstice in Spanish. Oh, solsticio. No, this is Roman. What the hell? I put a Spanish.
But like the sky is glowing. It's like it's
Solsticio. No, it's the same word. It's the same word. So which is the equinox? Equinox?
I should put a camera out my window.
Maybe Spidey will make an appearance later.
I got like a bunch of. Once in a while I get. Yeah, right. That'd be cool
No,
though.
no, that is another thing. Okay, I was completely confused. Solsticio is solstice. Equinoccios are the places in the moments of the year where the sun is situated exactly in the equator. Equator celeste,
Yep.
which is it? Okay, there we go. It's the center of the earth. Okay, there we have it. Sorry, I was reading it and it says like equinoccio vernal is actually how's it called in English? Now I'm wondering. And to this day, let me just check it out. It's vernal equinox. I mean, yeah, there's no change there. So it's the moment when the sun is actually better positioned to be in the middle of the line of the equator. So yeah.
Yeah. So basically, that is definitely what we could consider the longest day.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
longest day. Yeah.
I want to try something here. I want to see if I can crank down the brightness or something. Because like, I feel like it's not representing it accurately. Well, it definitely is not. But that's besides the point.
For your telescope, is it usually like a static image every 5 minutes, or have you been able to catch
Oh yeah,
like,
that's,
meteors?
sometimes it'll freeze up, but it's a still image right now. And I'm glad you mentioned that because I forgot to do something super important that I better do right now because
Do you
the
ever
back-
catch meteors with your telescope? Like
sometimes I see them by accident, and like when I go through the image processing when I'm stacking the images, there is a chance that I'll accidentally, find a meteor like that I didn't expect.
That's
Like,
cool.
it'll usually be like something like that ruins the image, but it's like also like you can still use it later on if you know what it is. I did capture a comet before, like a legit comet, but it took some doing, and it was on my old scope. The magnification was so high that like, even though you can see the comet, it wasn't like what do you call it? It wasn't like
Crystal
fucking,
clear to actually show it.
well, it was like there was nothing. There was no landscape. There was no other stars in the image, so it's like really hard to appreciate the comet when there's nothing else in the frame. Whereas if you have a comet in front of like a wide, like this telescope has a wide field, so if I saw a comet on the same comet on this telescope, we would have saw like stars in the background or the foreground and the comet, and that looks it looks easier to appreciate
yeah,
when
I
people
see.
see it like
'Cause
that.
Yeah.
They produce their own sort of light pollution. It's very bright when they enter the atmosphere.
And when you zoomed in on them, like you literally just the field is too tight, and then the settings I'm using on it, like it's sort of true like light pollution. I'm using different exposure settings, but if I had a wider shot, I could manage that. Now, last time I did a comet, the problem was that I was locking onto the comet, so all of the stars in the background were becoming streaks, and I was locked on the comet. So I may have been doing something wrong or right, but depending on who you ask. But now I'm going to click on the button to park the telescope. Because the problem is if this thing keeps moving west, like right now, I'm going to move it west a little bit right now as an example. If it keeps going west, oh wait, is this frozen?
How good is their wear and tear? Do you leave it outside?
I put a cover on it usually, especially when it's going to rain.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Right now, I obviously didn't put a cover. I'm going to kind of, yeah, why?
Once
I'm so
again, be
happy to
grateful that
see
you live in America, because here in Argentina, even if you have all the
Oh,
the
yeah.
climate and weather and everything, it's gonna rain out of nowhere, and then you're gonna be ruining.
Really?
the
Argentina's a big UFO spot, though, I hear too.
I thought you were going
Yeah,
to tell me I was going to get robbed in Argentina.
No. It's like out of nowhere. Like the other day, we had like 1 week, 2 weeks, or 1 week. 1 week ago, we actually had an entire week of rain, like an entire week. No stopping, no anything. That was like, it was a disaster here.
There we go. So basically, if this thing keeps moving west because as the Earth rotates, it keeps going west. If the back of the camera bumps into the tripod, that becomes super inconvenient because then I have to realign it the next day. And it's supposed to stop moving. There's supposed to be like a limit set in the software to tell it to stop moving when it gets to where's the application here? So wait, move. There we go. So this thing here is supposed to have like this like little limit, like this wheel right here represents yeah, this shit here has these little white markers which represent like the maximum. When it gets to that yellow when this red part meets the white, it's supposed to stop. It's supposed to automatically park or do a flip. But sometimes that doesn't work right for one reason or another, and so like usually it works perfectly, but when it doesn't work, I'll wake up in the morning and the telescope will look like it's upside down, and I'll either get lucky. One time I broke a USB port. One time I broke a USB cable. Shit like that happens. But we're going to park the telescope right now since we don't need it up. So we click on the button, and now it's going to go and slew to the home position, which... Why is it moving so slowly? That's weird. Oh, there we go. It's tired. But I do have to do some maintenance on the gears. There used to be a company where you can mail it out and they would super tune it for $300, and they stopped doing it for some reason, but you can still buy the parts and do it yourself. So that's probably better because I'm not crazy about shipping out the fucking thing anyway, but the idea of having someone else do it for you for a fee is kind of nice,
Almost looks like a giant bazooka.
Yeah. Now, I would
Dude,
retract the camera, but I'm not
I wanted
gonna.
to ask you, since you here, do you know if there's any, because you actually did it with the Nintendo 64, do you know if there's any way to actually make a Sega Dreamcast to actually work in HDMI?
Probably, because apparently it's a more common mod than I initially thought. Like,
Because I want to buy one and I want to modify it to actually work in HDMI because it's the only TV that I have right now.
They got it for the Wii. Look right here, and it's like 200 and something bucks. I think it's using a similar setup where it's got a special FPGA chip or whatever. But this one looks like it's got some Wi-Fi. Okay, so some of these have really weird features. So they'll have the HDMI port, and so you do your soldering, you hook up the ribbon cables or the flex cables on the inside. You know how I always call it. I used the wrong word. But like this one here, like clearly has a Wi-Fi chip or Wi-Fi chipset on it, or that could be Bluetooth. But
which is there? Which is the place they actually sell it?
it does say sample firmware update procedure via Wi-Fi. So yeah, apparently you can issue updates. I'll put the link in the whatchamacallit.
Okay.
But yeah, apparently like that's what the so I guess instead of using USB, you update it to the Wi-Fi. The one I bought for the N64 isn't really designed to be updated, which is fine by me because I have no reason to update it. But sometimes they have these weird throw-ins. Like I would think like just build it right the first time, so I don't need to update it. But I guess the theory is that an FPGA is sort of like a highly customizable I/O chip. Like it can be repurposed in multiple ways. So maybe if a new version of HDMI comes out, this can be future ready, which is that's kind of brilliant.
Yeah, you know, the actual problem that I have to check if they actually come to Argentina, because the other day I saw one of the greatest inventions that I ever seen in my life. That it was like a punching bag that it had rhythm, that it was like a little thing that you could hang in the wall. And I was like, oh, I don't care how much you want it. It's like $200, I think it was. With ship and everything, it was gonna be like $300. I didn't care. I was gonna pay it. It doesn't come to Argentina. It doesn't come at all to Argentina.
That's
And
a
it's
pain in
sold
the
in
ass when they do that.
Amazon.com. So yeah, it was like, God damn it! I didn't care how much it cost me. I was gonna pay it because I want that. I always love that kind of idea to actually play something as I was punching the bag, you know. And I was as I saw that invention, I was like, I want this, and they don't sell it. So yeah, I
A
have to
big
wait
punching
until
bag.
some Chinese kind of company actually makes a second kind of weird thing. Then I'm gonna have to buy that one.
Not a knockoff. Do you remember when I did N64? I had problems.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
what it was I used this liquid called flux, which lowers the melting point of the
Yeah,
soldering lead,
I know.
and
Flux, yeah.
it got stuck underneath the chip. So every time the chip warmed up, the liquid flux would go back and cause the connections to short out. And so I had to get like
Oh.
flux remover. And people will tell you that flux doesn't conduct electricity. And although that is true, if you scorch something and you get impurities in the flux, then yes, it does
Yeah,
conduct
yeah,
electricity.
it does conduct. Yeah,
And people
it's,
like they were arguing with me. One guy or one or two people were arguing with me. I was like, dude, look, I won't tell you a second time. You know, I'm just saying this is what happened. You know, but yeah, and then you can see this is what supplies power. So these two, whatever, I don't think they're capacitors. There's something else, but they're like little transformers, I think, and you basically tap those in order to send power to the actual HDMI board, and then obviously this must be the video signal thing. So normally this would send it to the RF output or the composite AV output. So instead you're tapping it directly. And like on N64 and SNES, they had RGB support, which is similar to VGA or component outputs on a DVD player. And so,
yeah.
even though N64 never implemented it, there was always an ability to add, to tap those lines. So that's how they did it. But yo, I better get my ass to bed, yo. Anything else you guys want to add?
No.
All
Thank
right.
you for inviting me, bro.
No doubt. It was a pleasure, Xander.
This is
And-
Zeus. Go to bed.
Oh, you heard that? God just told me to go to bed, yo. I'm gonna hit end stream now. I'm not even gonna say goodnight to the Rumble people, but dead ass. Actually, for anybody who tunes in right now, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please leave a comment. And for now, we